Chapter 22. Ah. Brother Guang, look, this bro is so miserable. Bai Fan laughed unscrupulously as he waved his phone in front of Qin Guang. He even pointed at the photo on the screen. This bro has it hard. Saving a person is fine, but he was actually photographed in such an embarrassing situation. Look at his underwear, he looks so shy. It's even a checkered underwear. Haha, and there's a hole in his butt. See, there's a hole. Qin Guang's knuckles cracked as he clenched his fist. Bai Nyangzi, who was showing off, had no idea that death was approaching him step by step. I'll strangle you to death. Qin Guang couldn't stand it anymore. He was about to strangle Bai Fan to death and dry him on top of the city gate when he unexpectedly turned his head and saw the class beauty, Sun Xiaoxuan, walking over. He placed his phone in front of Sun Xiaoxuan. Mr. Class Rep, you also saw this news, right? Say, how can there be such an unlucky person in this world? He should be a hero for saving someone, but these unscrupulous reporters reported him as gossip. So pitiful. Glancing at Bai Fan's phone, Sun Xiaoxuan saw Qin Guang's silhouette on it, along with a close-up shot of the hole on his briefs. You're the only one who's nosy. I have proper business here. Although she said so, this gentle woman from Jiangnan couldn't help but sneak a few more glances at the photo. She secretly thought Bai Fan is really too much. Although it's a bit pitiful for him to be photographed like this, he's still a hero who saved someone. Aren't you also making him a laughing stock? However, you have to say his body is really good. What serious business can it be? Can it be more fun than this? Bai Fan chuckled and continued, Class Rep, look at his underwear. Tell me, what era are we in? There's actually someone wearing such tacky underwear. Ah. The hole. The position. The hole. Oh, I can't take it anymore. I can't breathe. Bai Fan laughed exaggeratedly while casually patting Qin Guang's shoulder. His behavior was a bit pretentious, but it wasn't strange. Although Sun Xiaoxuan wasn't as dazzling as the school beauty Wenwen who often came to see Qin Guang, he still had a gentle, charming, and adorable side. Although Bai Nyangzi was a sissy, he still liked women. Although Sun Xiaoxuan didn't have any feelings for him, it was quite rare to have an opportunity like today to openly tease the class rep, so he seemed a bit too hysterical. Just as he unscrupulously patted Qin Guang's shoulder, Qin Guang's hands had already unknowingly touched the back of his neck. Sun Xiaoxuan also raised his hand, intending to slap Bai Fan's head. However, Bai Nyangzi's movements suddenly stopped, as if he remembered something. The hand that was patting Qin Guang's shoulder suddenly stopped. Qin Guang had a bad feeling in his heart. He quietly withdrew the hand that was about to choke Bai Fan's neck, waiting for what this guy was about to say next. Sure enough. Bai Fan suddenly turned his head and glared at Qin Guang. Brother Guang, if I remember correctly, don't ask me. I don't know anything. Qin Guang moved back a chair and pulled away from Bai Fan. However, it was useless. Bai Fan fiercely clapped his hands. That's right. I remember you had a pair of briefs like this. There's also a hole in your underwear. Screw your seventh aunt, why do you remember my underwear so clearly? You even remember the location of the hole in my butt. Qin Guang's face darkened. What does it have to do with me? Coincidence. This is a complete coincidence. Don't look at me like that, I'm not gay. You shut up. It's not me. Bai Fan was sprayed in the face by Qin Guang's spittle. He turned around and asked Sun Xiaoxuan, who was stunned, Class Rep, do you believe what he said? Sun Xiaoxuan's face turned even redder. He covered his face and timidly looked at Qin Guang. He then shook his head slightly. No. Pulling Bai Fan over, Qin Guang pointed at his eyes. Look at my eyes, they're so sincere. I already said it's not me. It's not me. He was about to break down. I've been studying acting for 2 whole days. I've even watched an actor's training twice. Even if my acting can't compare to a movie king, it's at least at the level of a nominated actor. Why is it so useless? Qin Guang began to doubt his life. Bai Fan's eyes followed Qin Guang's gaze and saw the actor's training on the table. He curled his lips. Brother Guang, stop acting. You really don't have that kind of talent. I'm completely certain. It's not me. You can say whatever you want. Qin Guang's mouth twitched. Now that things had come to this, he could only use his trump card and refuse to admit it. Bai Nyangzi, don't flatter Qin Guang. It's as if you're afraid that people don't know that you two are gay friends. Did you see what was written in the news? His freestyle swimming speed almost caught up with the national record. If I remember correctly, I haven't seen Qin Guang swim in the water during his 3 years in university, right? Qin Guang, you seem to have walked in the water during the swimming class in freshman year, right? At this moment, an ambiguous voice came from behind Qin Guang and Bai Fan. F***ck off. It's none of your business. We're not familiar with you. Bai Fan turned around and glared at him. His face was full of displeasure. The one who made sarcastic remarks behind them was a big guy named Pan Jiang. This person was even sturdier than Xiong'er. He was the main small forward of the school's basketball team. Gokyo University was a large comprehensive school with tens of thousands of students. The main players of the school's basketball team were not small, but they could also be regarded as big shots. This guy had always been arrogant in class because of his little ability. With Pan Jiang's identity as the main player of the school's basketball team, he didn't lack girlfriends. When he first entered the school, he changed 3 girls in just 2 months. That was not all. Later, this grandson actually dumped another boy's childhood sweetheart. When the other boy came to reason with him, he didn't say anything and knocked him to the ground. Originally, everyone had always minded their own business. In any case, they were classmates. However, the 4 people in Qin Guang's dormitory were upright people. They couldn't bear to see this guy go too far. The 4 of them stood up for the classmate together and taught Pan Jiang a lesson. Xiong'er wasn't bragging. Although he wasn't as tall and sturdy as Pan Jiang, he was really good at fighting. He decisively beat Pan Jiang to the ground. Later, this matter became more and more serious. It almost became that the 4 people in Qin Guang's dormitory took the guy to fight against the whole school's basketball team. The school's leaders finally came out and suppressed this matter. Later, the classmate who was taken advantage of felt that he had no face to stay in this class. He transferred to another department in his second year. However, the grudge between Qin Guang's dormitory and Pan Jiang was thus formed. It was just that the relationship between Qin Guang's 4 people was strong enough. Pan Jiang also didn't dare to easily provoke them. However, from time to time he would speak sarcastically. Both sides were not polite to each other. Bai Nyangzi, are you asking for a beating? Although Pan Jiang couldn't beat Xiong'er, he was a little angry that he was shouted at by a sissy. Damn it, what? You want to fight? Bai Nyangzi was also a firecracker. He was about to hit the table and fight for real. Qin Guang reached out and pressed Bai Fan back into the chair. There's no need to argue with this kind of person. Just ignore him. Qin Guang had his own considerations. He heard that the National College Basketball League was about to start. At this time, the school basketball team's status in the school was rising. If something really happened, he was afraid that he would be at a disadvantage. Today, Pan Jiang suddenly picked a fight. Maybe he was waiting for them to accept the challenge so that the matter could be blown up. In the end, the school would definitely help him, the main force of the school team. At that time, everyone was recorded in the fight. Now that they were all juniors, if they were expelled, it would not be worth the loss. Tisk, coward. Pan Jiang saw that Qin Guang didn't fall for it. He even stopped Bai Fan and muttered. He wanted to continue to provoke Bai Fan. Qin Guang looked back at him. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He was a little impatient with Pan Jiang, who didn't know what was good for him. Qin Guang had never been a person who was afraid of trouble. Otherwise, when faced with Zheng He's provocation, he wouldn't have taken out his stick to kill him. Pan Jiang, do you want us to be expelled? Okay, I can fulfill your wish. Let's go out and practice alone? Qin Guang pointed at Pan Jiang's nose and said coldly. Pan Jiang was stunned. He knew that although Qin Guang's team of 4 seemed to be led by Qin Guang, the one who was the best at fighting was actually Xiong'er, who was lying on the desk asleep. He couldn't beat Xiong'er, but it didn't mean that he was afraid of Qin Guang. But he didn't know why. When he was stared at by Qin Guang, he felt a little creeped out. It seemed that if he really went out and practiced alone with Qin Guang, he would be at a big disadvantage. Xiong'er, get up and do your work. On the other side, Bai Fan had already slapped the head of Xiong'er, who was sleeping, and woke this big fool up. Xiong'er opened his eyes in a daze and raised his head. What? Bai Fan pointed at Pan Jiang, who was in a tit-for-tat with Qin Guang. This grandson is asking for a beating again. Go. Bite him. F***ck. You're asking for it. I'll beat you up. As expected of Xiong'er, F***ck, he directly went for it. He directly went for it in the classroom. He had already stepped on the desk and jumped up. No prelude, no reason, just do it. Chapter 23. Calm down. Sit down. Fortunately, Qin Guang reacted quickly. At the critical moment, he grabbed the back of Xiong'er's t-shirt from behind, pulled him back to the chair and sat him down. When they were given demerits, the 3 of them were given minor demerits. Xiong'er was given a major demerit because he was the one who actually started the fight. Today, if Xiong'er really started the fight in public and let Pan Jiang, who had planned it beforehand, act it out, Xiong'er would definitely be expelled. Immediately, Qin Guang turned around and flicked his fingers at Bai Fan and Xiong'er's foreheads. Are you too stupid? Fighting in the classroom? Can't you see through Pan Zhang's plot? I asked him to go out and practice alone because I wanted to find a place without surveillance and break his leg so that he can't play basketball for the rest of his life. But when the time comes, as long as there is no witness or material evidence, there will be no proof. He can deny it even if he dies, but he can't do it in the classroom. Even if that was your plan, why did you say it out loud in front of everyone? Pan Jiang, who was behind them, broke out in a cold sweat. Looking at the back of Qin Guang, who was teaching Xiong'er and Bai Nyangzi a lesson, he thought to himself, "You're not serious, are you? Okay, stop arguing. We are all classmates and it's a rare fate. You will graduate next year. Can't you get along well?" Sun Xiaoxuan was so angry that tears almost flowed out of his eyes. He desperately pulled Qin Guang's jacket from behind. Half of his body was hanging on Qin Guang, and the buttons of his shirt were almost torn off. Qin Guang didn't want to be fooled by Pan Jiang. He just couldn't watch Bai Nyangzi and Xiong'er act like idiots. He just glared at Pan Jiang again and planned to go back and sit down. Rip. Qin Guang's shirt was sacrificed gloriously. He suddenly burst into tears. "My dear class president, it's not me who wants to fight, it's these two idiots. Why are you pulling at me? Do you really want to stop the fight? But I think your destructive power is the strongest. My only summer outfit is for an audition at Beardy's crew in a few days." Thinking about it again, it had been 2 whole days, and when he read his lines, it was like he was reciting a poem. When he wanted to smile, his expression was as ferocious as the door god in the countryside. It seemed like it didn't matter if he didn't go to the audition. In any case, it was hopeless. How depressing. Sorry. I'll compensate you. On the other side, Sun Xiaoxuan was very embarrassed that he had torn Qin Guang's clothes. He kept pulling at Qin Guang's body as if he wanted to put the torn cloth back together. Qin Guang calmly turned to the side to avoid Sun Xiaoxuan's perverted hands, and said, it doesn't matter. I don't really like wearing this shirt anyway. By the way, you seem to have something to say when you came here just now. The next class is a form teaching class, and the counselor will be here soon. I heard that it's a new counselor. Class president, don't you want to tell everyone in advance? Sun Xiaoxuan was stunned and finally remembered the serious matter. He had been completely misled by Bai Fan just now. He blushed and wanted to go to the podium, but he looked at Qin Guang with embarrassment. Don't worry about me. Go, class matters are more important. Qin Guang felt that she was not pulling at his clothes. She was simply peeling off his skin. It was better to get rid of her quickly. Sun Xiaoxuan looked at the time. Indeed, the new counselor was coming. She walked to the podium reluctantly and slammed the table. Everyone be quiet. Be quiet. I have something very important to say. In the past 3 years, Sun Xiaoxuan had handled everything in the class in an orderly manner. She was quite prestigious in the class. After her actions, the noisy class gradually quieted down and waited for her to say something. I think everyone probably knows that Teacher Shin is not feeling well. Starting this week, she will no longer be our counselor. The school has arranged a new counselor for us. I hope everyone can cooperate with the new counselor, Teacher Zhua, just like you did with Teacher Shin, Sun Xiaoxuan said loudly. Class monitor, I heard that Teacher Zhua is a senior who just graduated. Isn't she very beautiful? Someone in the back asked loudly. In fact, this was what many boys in the class were thinking. Some well-informed people had already heard some news. It was said that the new counselor was a celebrity in the school's graduate school last year. She was quite elegant, mature, dignified, and beautiful. A few years earlier, when she was still an undergraduate, she was one of the strong competitors for the school's most beautiful girl. Someone had even secretly taken a picture of her and posted it on the internet, causing a sensation. However, because she was a low-key person, the matter gradually faded. Now, unexpectedly, this former school beauty was coming to be everyone's counselor. They couldn't help but look forward to it. Sun Xiaoxuan was a little distressed. She had wanted to say something else, but she didn't expect these people to focus on the wrong thing. Okay, everyone stop messing around. Let the class monitor finish talking. If you want to know whether the new counselor is beautiful, wait for her to come and see for yourself. Qin Guang saw that Sun Xiaoxuan was a little distressed, so he helped her maintain order. When everyone finally settled down again, Sun Xiaoxuan gave Qin Guang a grateful look and continued to say, in a week, it will be the school's annual sports meet. Everyone knows that in the past 2 years, our class has been quite weak in the school sports meet. Everyone's enthusiasm for participating in group activities is a bit low. But this time Teacher Zhua has just taken over our class. She hopes that we can all be more enthusiastic. Even if we don't get any results in the sports meet, at least she hopes that everyone can participate. I won't say anything about the all-round development of morality, intelligence, physique, beauty, and labor, but I hope that everyone in our class will actively sign up and strive for everyone to participate. It can also be considered as a practical support for Teacher Zhua, who has just started working. Okay? As soon as Sun Xiaoxuan finished speaking, there were complaints from all over the class. For college students nowadays, the happiest thing to do every day was to go to class from time to time. After class they would stay in the dorm to play games, chat and watch movies and TV. Many boys who liked to play football in high school might not go to the court even once in a few years after entering college. Now that they were asked to participate in the sports meet, wasn't it asking for their lives? They were now in their third year. After 2 or 3 years of lack of exercise, everyone's physical fitness had already declined greatly. If they went to compete with the freshmen, they would just be asking for trouble. Not going. It's a disgrace and a waste of time. That's right, Teacher Shin hasn't made such a request. Why does she want everyone to go to the sports meet? Isn't it enough for our class to have Pan Jiang, the representative of the school's basketball team? I don't care what you think, I won't go. The class had already begun to make noise, and Sun Xiaoxuan was so anxious that she glared at them. But she really couldn't do anything. She also knew that these people were speaking the truth. Teacher Zhua's request was a bit too much. Sun Xiaoxuan could only turn her pleading eyes to Chen Guang. She knew that Chen Guang had a lot of influence among the boys. If Chen Guang was willing to stand up and support her at this time, at least the other 3 in his dorm would follow him. This way at least 1/5 of the 20 boys in the class would be settled. Chen Guang was a bit helpless. He also didn't want to be in the limelight. Sports meet and whatnot were things that only children were passionate about. It was really meaningless. But when he looked at Sun Xiaoxuan's pitiful eyes, he didn't want to embarrass the delicate class monitor. His head hurt. At this time, a head popped out of the classroom door. When he saw Sun Xiaoxuan on the podium, he confirmed that he was in the right place and quickly walked up. He seemed to be a bit out of breath. I haven't been to the undergraduate teaching building for a long time. I found the wrong place. Xiaoxuan, what's wrong? Why is everyone unwilling? What should we do? There was a gasp in the classroom. The woman who walked in was about 1.72 meters tall. She was definitely tall among women. Although she was wearing flat shoes, her tall and slender figure was perfectly accentuated under the black business suit. Her hair was braided and hung down her back, which highlighted her face even more. With just a few steps, a mature and charming aura diffused from her body, almost enveloping the entire classroom. Sun Xiaoxuan was also a beauty, but compared to this tall woman who had just walked in, she was almost completely defeated in terms of temperament. It wasn't that Sun Xiaoxuan wasn't as good-looking as her, it was purely because of the difference in age and clothing. The gap between the 2 girls, who were originally similar in appearance, had been forcibly widened. One was delicate and exquisite, the other mature and charming. 4 hot-blooded college students, the latter was obviously more lethal. This was Chen Guang's new tutor, Teacher Zhua Jingxi. Chapter 24. It only took a few seconds for Zhua Jingxi to step into the classroom and for the entire classroom to fall silent. Sun Xiaoxuan didn't expect Teacher Zhua to come at such an embarrassing time. He thought that she would be sad to see her classmates like this. He pinched the corner of his shirt in annoyance. Teacher Zhua, I'm sorry. Zhua Jingxi was actually a complete newcomer. She was also very disappointed to see that her first job was ruined. She couldn't hide it on her face, so she patted Sun Xiaoxuan's shoulder. Xiaoxuan, it's okay. I was too impatient. You can go and rest first. I'll tell everyone about the arrangements for next week. Just pretend that I didn't mention it. Sun Xiaoxuan nodded slightly and walked to the back of the classroom with a belly full of anger. Okay, hello everyone. Let me introduce myself first. Because of Teacher Shin's illness, I temporarily took on the job of being a counselor for everyone. Of course, if I don't do a good job, I'll have to continue studying for my doctorate. Therefore, I hope that everyone will cooperate with my work this semester. I will definitely try my best to help everyone solve the difficulties in their studies. Otherwise, after Teacher Shin recovers, if I don't teach everyone well, he definitely won't let me off the hook. I won't say too much. What Xiaoxuan said was my idea. Since everyone is so reluctant, I won't force it. Zhua Jingxi said that she wouldn't force it, but the disappointment on her face couldn't be more obvious. There's no such thing. Teacher Zhua, just now we were all joking with the class monitor. Of course we have to participate in the sports meeting. and we have to come back with good results. Pan Jiang was the first to jump up and beat his chest loudly. Immediately the others also jumped up enthusiastically, one after the other, excited. That's right, that's right. We were too lazy in the past 2 years. Now that Teacher Zhuo is thinking about us and letting us participate in the sports meeting, we can't be more than happy. Teacher Zhuo, I'm not bragging, but I was the sprinting prince in high school. I will definitely bring back a championship for our class. The person who said this was actually Bai Nyangzi, who was next to Qin Guang. How could Zhuo Jingxi have imagined that these people, who looked as if they were holding a knife to their necks just a moment ago, would suddenly become athletes? But when she saw the overly excited expressions of these young boys, she understood most of it. Her cheeks were slightly red, but she was also very happy. Thank you everyone, thank you everyone. Then after class, everyone fill in the registration form with Xiao Sun. We don't expect to get good grades, but we want everyone in the class to participate, okay? We will definitely be the only class in the whole school to have everyone sign up. Zhuo Jingxi's smile was like a flower. She felt that the students in her class were quite adorable. To think that she had been so worried before coming here. Although the girls in the class weren't as enthusiastic as the boys, Sun Xiaoxuan had already told the girls that they were waiting for the boys. Now that the guys had taken a stand, the girls naturally wouldn't tear down Sun Xiaoxuan and Zhuo Jingxi's stage. Qin Guang rubbed his eyebrows in distress. This was really troublesome. If the whole class wanted to go, it would be hard for him to get away with it. Zhuo Jingxi explained a lot of things, but Qin Guang didn't listen to much of it. At this time he was still pondering over an actor's self-cultivation. At the same time he had to worry about his white shirt, and he had to deal with Bai Fan's endless questioning. He wouldn't let go of the issue of Qin Guang's underwear. He firmly believed that underwear Superman was Qin Guang. After the entire class, Qin Guang was really busy. Finally, Zhuo Jingxi announced the end of class. Qin Guang was planning to sneak away when Sun Xiaoxuan rushed to the podium with lightning speed. He raised the registration form that he had prepared long ago and said loudly, "Everyone come one by one. You can sign up for whatever project you want according to your own interests. However, according to the school's rules, only one person from the same class can participate in the same project. So if you're fast, you'll get it." No one tried to sneak away. Zhuo Jingxi only used her face to conquer the male students in the class who were over-secreting testosterone. She also used Sun Xiaoxuan's connections among the girls to conquer the girls who should have seen her as an enemy. The first to jump up and sign up was, of course, Pan Jiang. Although he was a terrible person, there were indeed so many people in the class who revolved around him. He easily gathered 5 people and prepared to form a basketball team. With him as the main force of the school team, the results of the basketball team wouldn't be too bad. It was a good opportunity to be in the limelight. Pan Jiang's group of 5 were the first to sign up. They were supposed to leave the classroom, but no one knew what Pan Jiang was thinking. He actually ran back to Qin Guang and sat down. When he passed by Qin Guang's group of 4, he threw a provocative look at Bai Fan. F***ck, I want to beat him up. Bai Fan was about to go crazy again. Qin Guang slapped his forehead. He was almost speechless at Bai Fan. I say, can you stop? Are you really stupid or are you just pretending? Even if you want to beat him up, find a suitable opportunity later and do it quietly. What's the use of shouting now? Bai Fan sat on the chair angrily. His eyeballs were about to pop out. Isn't it just a basketball team? I don't know what he's so proud of. Could it be that he can enter a professional basketball team? Won't he still have to work for others after he graduates? Qin Guang couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He pretended to be reading seriously, but in fact he was secretly planning to quietly find a chance to slip away. However, Sun Xiaoxuan was too vigilant. While teaching people how to fill out the registration form, he swept his vigilant eyes across the classroom. Everyone in the class signed up one after another. Even the other 3 people in the dorm filled out their own events. Qin Guang still didn't want to go and was ready to slip away. When he found an opportunity, he suddenly stood up and ran. Qin Guang, what event do you want to sign up for? You're the only one who hasn't signed up yet. Sun Xiaoxuan's voice sounded behind Qin Guang. Why are your eyes so sharp? Qin Guang's sneaky body stopped and he slowly turned around. So many people have signed up. I don't think I'm the only one left, right? Sun Xiaoxuan put on the airs of the class president. No, Teacher Zhuo said that we have to create a magnificent feat of everyone in the class signing up. Not a single one can be left out. Class president, don't force him, okay? He's a delicate girl, how could he participate in the sports meet? What if he faints? Pan Zhang's voice rang out in an untimely manner. This fellow had waited for so long just for this opportunity. Just to find a chance to ridicule Qin Guang, this guy was willing to wait until now. He really loved him deeply. Qin Guang slowly turned around and stared at Pan Jiang. Do you think you lost face because you were scared in front of me just now? So you want to find a chance to scratch me and regain some face? To tell you the truth, it's too easy to see through the childish mentality of people like you. If you really want to make life difficult for me, I advise you to throw away the pacifier in your mouth and think about what the adult world should be like. As long as you can show your awareness, I will immediately let you understand what is called adult hatred. Right now you're just a big fool, but the level of the things inside you is too low. Qin Guang said as he pointed to his head. Pan Jiang suddenly became furious. He suddenly took a step forward, raised his big hand and was about to push Qin Guang. At this time Xiong Jinka and the other two had already walked to the classroom door. Seeing Pan Jiang make a move, they wanted to turn back and help, but it was too late. Just when everyone thought that Qin Guang was going to suffer, Qin Guang suddenly stretched out his hand. His palm caught Pan Jiang's finger and bent it backward. Under the pain, Pan Jiang's forward momentum suddenly stopped. Because of the pain in his finger, his body bent down and almost knelt on the ground. Let go. Let go. Pan Jiang never dreamed that Qin Guang was so strong, and his movement was so fast and fierce. He grimaced in pain for a moment. He couldn't break free, but he didn't want to give in to Qin Guang. If I want to, I can break your finger now. Qin Guang looked at Pan Jiang. Previously, because they were classmates, he had restrained himself despite his vile attitude towards Pan Jiang. But right now he was truly enraged. You. Pan Jiang gasped, wanting to say something but not daring to say it. Qin Guang smiled. Do you want to say something like, dare? Come say it, let me hear it, and I'll let you know whether I dare or not. Even if it was a rich young master like Zhang He, Qin Guang would make a move if he said so. Personally speaking, he was not afraid of Pan Jiang. Okay, Qin Guang, Pan Jiang, both of you stop talking. We're all classmates, don't be like this. Sun Xiaoxuan began to pull Qin Guang's clothes again. Qin Guang, who was murderous just a moment ago, felt a chill on his back. For a moment he lost all his momentum, pushed his hand forward and let go of Pan Jiang. He had to let go or else Sun Xiaoxuan would really peel off his skin. Pan Jiang's finger was twisted earlier, and in order to prevent his finger from breaking, he took the opportunity to retreat. So, although Qin Guang didn't use much strength, he fell on his butt. Why do you keep pulling my clothes? Can't you see that he started it? Qin Guang turned around and said to Sun Xiaoxuan in pain. His shirt might have been saved before, but this time, it was completely hopeless. Sun Xiaoxuan's face was red. I'm sorry, but you're an adult. No, Pan Jiang, I'm not saying you're immature. I don't know what to say, but you should at least think about Teacher Zhua. She just became our class counselor, and now there's a student fighting in the class. It's not good for her. Okay. Anyway, as long as Pan Jiang doesn't come looking for a beating, I won't lower myself to his level. It's said that things don't happen more than 3 times. Today I've tolerated him twice. If there's a next time, not even God's words will matter. Qin Guang said this to Sun Xiaoxuan, but in fact he was saying it to Pan Jiang. Outside the door, Xiong Jinka and the other 2 planned to come in and help, but what happened next stunned them. Among the 4 people in the dorm, the one who hated fighting the most was indeed Qin Guang, but he wasn't this strong before. He was ruthless, but his actual fighting strength wasn't that great. Was this big brother injected with hormones today? I know you're strong, I know you're magnanimous, I know you're mature and steady, and you understand people's hearts. Then why don't you fill out this registration form? You should also be considerate of this poor class monitor and Teacher Zhua, who just started working. Sun Xiaoxuan was very smart. He followed Qin Guang's words and put a registration form in front of Qin Guang. 400 meters freestyle? Qin Guang's eyes widened. He felt like he had been tricked. What can we do? All the events, track and field, basketball and so on have been signed up. Swimming is the only event that no one in the class has signed up. You're the last one, so you have to help us make up for this shortcoming, right? You don't like freestyle? Okay, there's also breaststroke, butterfly and backstroke. Which one do you want? Sun Xiaoxuan said unhappily. Qin Guang sucked in a breath of cold air. The old man was wise his whole life. Why didn't he think of this? Unlike other events, swimming required students to wear skimpy clothes and stand in public. The girls in the class definitely wouldn't like it. There didn't seem to be many boys who could swim. Even if there were some who could, they definitely wouldn't choose this event if they had other options. If he was the last one, wouldn't that be walking right into a trap? Even a wise man would make a mistake. Chapter 25. In the end, Qin Guang obediently filled up the registration form. Since it's already come to this, he couldn't act shamelessly, nor did he have any reason to force others to switch programs with him. In any case, the three inhumane fellows in the dormitory shook their heads like a rattled drum when they saw Qin Guang's pleading gaze, not to mention the others. After filling out the registration form, Qin Guang raised his head and frowned. Pan Jiang, why haven't you left yet? Come on, say some more unpleasant things. Let me have some fun. Why are you here again? Sun Xiaoxuan moved even faster this time. Before Qin Guang could do anything, she had already put her hand on his back. This made Qin Guang feel that this big sister was deliberately looking for an excuse to take advantage of him. Pan Jiang giggled. Don't look at me like that, Qin Guang. But to be honest, I really don't think you'll be able to participate in freestyle. The most important thing is to participate. The most important thing is to participate. I can't be bothered with you. Let's go. Qin Guang didn't want to waste time with this guy, so he turned around and walked out. He yelled for the other three to leave the classroom with him, lest he couldn't help but beat Pan Jiang up in the classroom later. Pan Jiang, what's wrong with you today? After Qin Guang and the others walked away, Sun Xiaoxuan looked at Pan Jiang with some displeasure. She thought this guy was so annoying. Pan Jiang deliberately put on a mysterious look and wanted to get closer to Sun Xiaoxuan. Sun Xiaoxuan quietly took a step back, putting some distance between them. What do you want to say? Hurry up and say it. In her heart, she felt that compared to Qin Guang, Pan Jiang was too terrible. Sun Xiaoxuan always knew that Qin Guang was making money from his sports car. Not only did she not look down on Qin Guang because of this, but she also felt that he was very responsible and manly. Now that she was in her third year, Sun Xiaoxuan had met more than one or two pursuers, but she had never given any face to any of them. She had been single until now. She was very introverted when it came to matters of the heart, always hiding her feelings in the bottom of her heart. But in fact, everyone in the girls' circle knew that our class leader always had some vague feelings for Qin Guang. Because of this, Sun Xiaoxuan was often teased by his female friends. However, Sun Xiaoxuan and Qin Guang didn't interact much. It was only because of Pan Jiang's incident that she had more contact with Qin Guang. The two of them didn't usually talk much. Class leader, you still don't know? There's a guy in the architecture department of our college. He's a popular swimmer in the provincial swimming team. He just got the qualification certificate of a national athlete. He's also going to participate in the 400-meter freestyle. Pan Jiang said smugly. He was quite well informed about this news. Sun Xiaoxuan rolled his eyes. Aren't you bored? I've already said that we're just here to participate. It's not like we're trying to get a ranking. After saying that, Sun Xiaoxuan packed her things and quickly left. She didn't want to stay with this annoying guy for another second. After walking out of the classroom, Sun Xiaoxuan saw Qin Guang and the other three turn around the corner and go downstairs. Sun Xiaoxuan sighed in her heart. Did I secretly help him change the event he signed up for? Although the ranking doesn't matter, Qin Guang is so arrogant. If he loses too much to someone else, he'll definitely be embarrassed, right? I bet 5,000 yuan that Qin Guang won't even pass the preliminaries. As for me, I'll at least lead our basketball team into the quarterfinals. Pan Jiang's haunting voice sounded behind Sun Xiaoxuan. I say, are you done? How Qin Guang performs has nothing to do with you. Sun Xiaoxuan was about to collapse. I don't care how your basketball team performs. What? You're the class leader. If you say something like that, you'll hurt the hearts of the warriors who fight for glory on the court. At this moment, Pan Jiang was on the verge of collapsing. Qin Guang was only a bystander in the tournament, but class president Sun had placed his entire heart into it. I'm a core member of the school's team, and our team's results can't be too bad. Why the hell are you treating me like this? How could he know that beauty is in the eye of the beholder? In Sun Xiaoxuan's eyes, even if Qin Guang caught a cold and had a runny nose, it would still be 100 times more handsome than him doing a slam dunk on the court. Of course, Sun Xiaoxuan also knew that what he said was a bit too much. He just coldly snorted. Fine, then I wish your basketball team a victory. But don't say something like Qin Guang can't pass the preliminaries. I don't believe it. Qin Guang will definitely pass the preliminaries. Then let's make a bet. If Qin Guang passes the preliminaries, I'll apologize to his 4 roommates and never mess with them again. What do you think? Pan Jiang had been laying the groundwork for a long time. He was waiting for this opportunity to make a bet with Sun Xiaoxuan. Sun Xiaoxuan subconsciously wanted to agree. After all, she felt that if Pan Jiang and Qin Guang's relationship continued like this, it wouldn't be good for the class. But before the words left her mouth, she paused and looked at Pan Jiang with vigilance. What if you win? What if Qin Guang doesn't perform well? Pan Jiang saw Sun Xiaoxuan's expression as if she was guarding against a thief. He felt very innocent. Can you not be like this? If I win, I just want to treat you to a meal. What do you think? Just a meal? Sun Xiaoxuan took a step back. Pan Jiang jumped. What else can I do? What else can I do? Why? Sun Xiaoxuan felt that Pan Jiang's goal couldn't be so simple. Class rep Sun, do you really want me to say it out loud? Although I used to be a mess when it came to relationships, and everyone had a bad impression of me, I haven't had any girlfriends since last semester. I'm not that bad of a person. I want to treat you to a meal. It's just a meal. Such a simple request isn't too much, right? Pan Jiang didn't lie about this. Since the beginning of last semester, he really didn't show off his experience of changing girlfriends in front of anyone in class, but whether he really turned over a new leaf or not, perhaps only he himself knew. Sun Xiaoxuan was obviously a very soft-hearted girl. She also felt that as long as there was a chance for Qin Guang and the others to mend their relationship with Pan Jiang, it wouldn't be a big deal to have a meal with Pan Jiang even if they lost. This was also her duty as the class rep, to mediate the conflict between the classmates. In the end, she agreed to Pan Jiang's bet. She thought that passing the preliminaries shouldn't be too difficult, right? After Sun Xiaoxuan left, Pan Jiang took out his phone and prepared to make a call. Although he wasn't optimistic about Qin Guang at all, Pan Jiang still wanted to reduce the possibility of accidents to zero. On the other side, Bai Fan and the others were also very worried about Qin Guang's prospects in the swimming competition. I say, Brother Guang, are you really going to swim? Lin Jingwei was very pessimistic about Qin Guang's prospects in the sports competition. If I remember correctly, last month when I asked you if you wanted to go to the pool, you said you were a non-swimmer. Qin Guang laughed. That's just because I'm a straight person. I don't want to go to the pool with a man. Can you not compare me with Bai Nyangzi? Lin Jingwei was angry. What do you mean? Do you think I won't strangle you to death? Bai Fan was furious. Everyone in the dorm laughed and joked around. Qin Guang's mind had also forgotten about his conflict with Pan Jiang. Pan Jiang was just a stinky piece of sh*t. There was no need to ruin his mood because of such a person. Since he had received 50,000 yuan yesterday, Qin Guang wanted to temporarily slack off for the next 2 days. He didn't want to go to the sports car again. Originally, he was supposed to go to the library to prepare for the CET4 exam. However, Qin Guang was a person who had lived on the Royal for 20 years, where everyone spoke pure English. This kind of exam was a small case among small cases. In addition, he originally wanted to continue to ponder the self-cultivation of an actor, sprinting towards the bright road of becoming an actor. However, after testing his acting skills today, Qin Guang resigned himself to his fate. Although he didn't want to admit it, he really didn't have that talent. 10,000 yuan in 30 seconds seemed wonderful, but he was not born to make a living. Of course, no matter how much Bai Fan pestered him, he stubbornly refused to admit that he was a man in underwear. This kind of embarrassing thing, even if a photo was taken on the spot, Qin Guang would still throw the blame to his imaginary twin brother. Therefore, now Qin Guang realized a sad fact. If he didn't go to class, he would actually have nothing to do. Oh my God, I am the savior who has the heavenly holy grail. My life should be incomparably brilliant and glorious. How can I become an idler who has nothing to do? Squeezing the cup in his hand, Qin Guang thought to himself, Emperor of the Azure hasn't done anything for a few days. What is she busy with? Will she suddenly jump out at some inopportune time to give me a big surprise? Thinking of this, he suddenly felt his hair stand on end. For the past few days, Qin Guang almost never left the cup. He even brought it with him when he went to the toilet. He was laughed at by the other 3 people in the dormitory, but he didn't explain much and went his own way. Just as he was feeling anxious, his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Wenwen calling. When he picked up the phone, it was Wenwen's voice. What are you busy with? Going to the library together? It's Wenwen, the campus belle. Qin Guang is with us. Let me tell you something. Today, our class belle, class monitor and Qin Guang talked a lot. We seriously suspect that the 2 of them are having an affair. Campus belle, when you have to hurry up. Bai Fan screamed beside Qin Guang's phone. The few people in the dormitory knew about the relationship between Qin Guang and Wenwen. Of course, no matter how Qin Guang explained it to them, this group of vulgar people couldn't understand the true friendship between him and Wenwen. In the eyes of these vulgar people, There was no such thing as true, pure friendship between a man and a woman. If there was, it was just a fake friendship with a hard shell. It was real ambiguity. Go. It's none of your business. Qin Guang couldn't be bothered to waste time with these vulgar people. He turned around and walked to the side. You guys go back, don't worry about me. You beast who only cares about the opposite sex. I wish you an early ED. The three of them cursed Qin Guang viciously from behind. Qin Guang turned around and spread his hands. It's not that I'm not loyal, it's because the opposite sex is too beautiful. Chapter 26. What? You're not going to the library? You want to play games? Are you crazy? Don't you want to pass level 4? Don't you want this lady's reward anymore? Wenwen was dumbfounded. She was still holding on to a new level 4 reference book that she got from God knows where. Just when she was about to give it to Qin Guang and get him to finish it within 3 days, Qin Guang was shocked. Qin Guang looked serious. Let me tell you, learning is about balancing work and rest. I've been so serious these few days. It's about time I played Dota to adjust my brain. Otherwise, I won't be able to improve my learning efficiency. Wenwen looked at him carefully. But why did I hear that you've been learning how to be an actor for the past 2 days? I have to say, I don't think you have the talent to be an actor. Right now it's written all over your face. You want to play. You just want to play, and it has nothing to do with balancing work and rest. Alright. I haven't played games in a long time. My hands are itching. Just let me rest for a bit today. Qin Guang didn't want to waste his time pretending that he didn't understand English. He didn't know why, but he had a feeling that there weren't many chances for him to sit in front of the computer and play games in peace. Since he was in a rare mood today, he might as well play along with his thoughts. Alright, I know you've been working hard lately. After all, this is your problem. I haven't played games in a long time. You don't have time to accompany me, so it's boring for me to go alone. Wenwen was tempted by Qin Guang's words. She didn't insist on Qin Guang going to the library anymore. Alright, let's go. Qin Guang laughed. Do you really think level 4 is okay? Wenwen asked worriedly when they were almost at the entrance of the internet cafe. Qin Guang patted his chest. Of course it's okay. I'm not bragging. Even if an international friend stood in front of me right now, I could chat with him in perfect American English. Bullsh *T. I don't care if you believe me or not. Alright, play if you want to. I'm not your mom. Hurry up, there are seats next to each other. Although Wenwen spoke righteously, she was even faster than Qin Guang when she entered the internet cafe. As she yelled, she tossed her ID into Qin Guang's hand and rushed towards the location that she had her eyes on. Her gaming addiction was much greater than Qin Guang's. When Qin Guang paid and sat down next to her, she had already turned on both computers. She rubbed her hands and was so excited that her face was red. Qin Guang sat down and opened the Heavenly Holy Grail, also known as the Heavenly Holy Teacup. He took a sip of water and looked at this big sister who was already in the zone. He was speechless. He couldn't believe that just 2 minutes ago she was forcing him to go to the library with righteous words. Your style changed so quickly that I'm a little tired of understanding it. Hurry up. This lady is going to start weight training again. Wenwen breathed into her hands, her fighting spirit high. Weight training, Qin Guang's face darkened. Why did you find such an appropriate word again? That's right, this was the reason why Wenwen liked to play games with Qin Guang. Both of them liked to play Dota too, but their skill levels were like heaven and earth. It was very sad. As a man, Qin Guang was still the one lying on the ground. Qin Guang couldn't say much about Wenwen's real skill level. Those who played this game often would understand what kind of standard it was to have 7,000 points in a ladder solo. In another popular similar game, League of Legends, that was basically the level of the greatest king in Telecom 1. As for Qin Guang himself, he spent most of his time in solo play, going up and down without any improvement. In League of Legends, he might be considered a beginner in the bronze group. Of course, after meeting Qin Guang, Wenwen basically never played solo. She always played duo with him. However, even with Qin Guang's lousy skill level, Wenwen was able to maintain a team ranking close to 5,000 points when playing duo with him. This was simply a miracle. Even professional players with newbies might not be able to achieve this feat. For a period of time, the two's IDs were almost legendary in the ladder group rankings. Everyone remembered these two's IDs. Once they met these two, as long as they were recognized, they would complain about Qin Guang hugging his thigh and worship Wenwen. The teammates who were placed on the same side as these two people had a love-hate relationship. They loved that there was a relatively strong mid laner in their team. They could easily help their teammates establish an advantage in the early game by killing the opponent's mid laner. Even some famous mid-laners and professional teams wouldn't fight with Wonwon for the mid-laner position. However, they hated that in the middle and late stages of this fast-paced high-intensity game, the idle Fish King would always drop the ball. During the crucial team battles, he would either not arrive at the scene when his teammates were almost all dead, or he would be sent back to Fountain City by the opponent on the way to the rendezvous point just when the team battle was over. Other than that, he would only remember that he forgot to use his ultimate skill after the team battle was over. Other than that, it was normal for him to be empty-handed. The payout was as regular as the clock. Qin Guang was also very bitter. I'm just a pitiful man with 1,000 to 3,000 points. Do you think it's easy for me to be forcefully brought into a 5,000-point game? If I can't keep up, then I can't keep up. I'm also working hard. As long as no one interferes, I'll only miss 2 out of 4 players. Today, Qin Guang's performance was as stable as ever. Perhaps it was because the two hadn't played for too long that the experts in the high rankings had almost forgotten the fear of Qin Guang's ID. Finally, at the 10th minute of the game, Qin Guang returned to Fountain City for the 5th time. His teammates began to realize that the situation wasn't right. He died every 2 minutes. This guy is poisonous. A quick-witted teammate immediately went to look at the results of the 2 players. His eyes were fiery and immediately saw through Qin Guang's disguise. The policeman uncle was him. He appeared again. I say, big brother, can you not be like this? If you send again, I'll report you. This was the first teammate to jump up and mock Qin Guang. Qin Guang, who had rich experience in dealing with pressure, opened the menu at lightning speed and blocked this grief-stricken young man. The other 2 people were relatively calm. They advised the 2 sides not to quarrel. The game had just begun and they hadn't lost yet. After all, the strange combination of Qin Guang and Wonwon was famous. At the same time that Qin Guang paid 5 times, Wonwon had already suppressed the opposing mid-laner by 2 levels. There was no way to relieve the fat. Qin Guang only smiled mysteriously at the 2 teammates' kind words. Brothers, I know that you guys are of high quality and a high level. But after 10 minutes you guys will also be scolding me together. He didn't say anything. Qin Guang didn't care what the guy who had already broken down was saying. He couldn't hear it anyway, so it didn't matter. Sure enough, after another 8 minutes when Qin Guang came out of Fountain City for the 8th time, another guy broke down. You should leave, we can win. Qin Guang couldn't hear what this person said next. His technique of blocking his teammates was perfect. It was at least 10,000 times better than his playing skills. Wonwon couldn't stop laughing at the side. Her hands weren't slow either. She killed both the opposing mid-laner and the other person who came to gank under the tower. You're so miserable. Wonwon giggled. Qin Guang was helpless. I can't help it. I haven't played for a few months. My skill level has regressed a lot. Ugh, can your level still deteriorate? Wonwon's level of adding insult to injury was quite high. At the 23rd minute, when the hero controlled by Qin Guang released an empty hit at the beginning of the team battle, the last guy broke down. F***CK. His voice had just started and he didn't say anything else. This time, Qin Guang blocked him even faster. Of course, this also meant that the game between the 2 of them was basically doomed. Wonwon never turned on any voice chat, and she never listened to her teammates' conversations. From now on, the 5 people on their side were completely out of touch. Their headcount ratio was also behind by half. The gap in economic experience was even more obvious. We're going to lose again. Qin Guang felt wronged. Why don't you just open a Smurf account for the next round? Let's go for a 3,000-point game. Wonwon shook her head. I'm not going. I'm going for weight-bearing training. Qin Guang picked up the cup and brought it to his mouth. He wanted to drink some water to calm himself down. Why is my life so bitter? At this moment something strange happened. Emperor of the Azure, who had been silent for a long time, actually appeared again. Her appearance was so sudden that Qin Guang didn't have any time to react or prepare at all. A moment ago he was still holding the cup high, preparing to swallow the water. The next moment he felt the world spin. When he came back to his senses, he was already above the familiar yet strange sea of clouds. Chapter 27. Great God. Why didn't you inform me in advance? I'm drinking water. I'm still outside. Little brat. Emperor of the Azure appeared in front of Qin Guang once again. She was arrogant and proud. However, before she could finish her sentence, Qin Guang's fist had already landed on her face from below. Halfway through her sentence, she stopped abruptly. Emperor of the Azure's face had changed shape. It was deflated by the punch. Immediately, her entire body flew far away. Floating in midair, Emperor of the Azure was completely dumbfounded. This lowly mortal, he actually dared to hit me. How dare he? She originally thought that after going through the test of the realm of transiency, this lowly mortal must have felt the immense benefits of the heavenly Holy Grail. He would definitely worship her. Therefore, when she first appeared, she still had that arrogant attitude. However, Qin Guang jumped up fiercely. Like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey, he pounced on Emperor of the Azure. He shouted, "I've been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. I've wanted to beat you up for a long time." At the same time, he swung his fist ferociously. It was filled with intense hatred. Of course, it was mostly due to the pleasure of revenge. It was unstoppable and had boundless strength. That's right. He was mysteriously dragged into the heavenly Holy Grail. He was mysteriously turned into some savior. Then he experienced death for a total of 95 times in the realm of transiency. Qin Guang was unwilling to recall the process of dying time and time again. However, it didn't mean that he could forget the pain. It was just that his mind had been tempered over and over again. He had become extraordinarily strong so he could hide it. However, his hatred towards the Emperor of the Azure did not fade with the passing of time. He just hid it in his heart. He did not want the Emperor of the Azure to find out about it, so he deliberately did not think about it. He had waited for a long time for this day. He must catch her off guard. Sure enough, when Qin Guang deliberately didn't think about these things, the Emperor of the Azure really didn't notice the dirty things hidden in his heart. In a moment of carelessness, Qin Guang actually succeeded in his sneak attack. "Ah, Emperor of the Azure. Who asked you to be arrogant? Who asked you to be arrogant? Who asked you to force me to shoulder the responsibility? Now you know how powerful the old man is." Qin Guang was extremely pleased. With this punch, the hatred in his heart was reduced by more than half. He felt extremely satisfied. Alright, no matter what, the Emperor of the Azure and the heavenly Holy Grail had indeed changed him. Although the 20 years of experience in the Sea of Transient was painful, there was also sweetness in the bitterness. More importantly, it allowed him to change from an ordinary person to an extremely capable fighter. He was no longer ordinary. In the foreseeable future, the heavenly Holy Grail would continue to change his life. After this punch, Qin Guang felt that it was enough. He just wanted to vent a little. With this woman's temper, she would definitely retaliate fiercely. Qin Guang was on full alert, waiting for the Emperor of the Azure's revenge. Although he knew that it was useless to be on guard. He would definitely be retaliated. But it didn't matter. If he could give her a punch, his thoughts would be clear. In any case, she couldn't possibly kill him. This is just a strike of dignity that I, a mortal, am using in order to seek dignity. I was expressing my attitude so that she wouldn't think that I was easy to bully. But after Qin Guang waited for a long time, the woman was still lying on the ground, not moving an inch. Oh no, I didn't really hit her, right? That doesn't make sense. You are a dignified god emperor, why are you pretending to be so delicate? Is she pretending? Is she waiting for me to die? After waiting for a short while, Qin Guang carefully leaned over. He opened his eyes wide and saw that it was really bad. The Emperor of the Azure was lying on the marble floor. Her eyes were rolled back and she was still spitting saliva. 2 streams of blood flowed out of her nostrils. She looked like a seriously injured person. He placed his finger near her nostrils. Damn it. She's not breathing. Hey, don't mess around. You can't possibly die so easily, right? You are a god emperor. Although I don't know what a god emperor looks like, just from the name it should be very powerful, right? You can't even withstand a single blow. It doesn't make sense. Finally, after a long time, the Emperor of the Azure, who was lying on the ground like a corpse, trembled and slowly woke up. How dare you sneak attack me when I'm not paying attention? She woke up. Run. It was useless. Next, Qin Guang experienced the level of a world champion in women's singles. No, this should be called the goddess's singles. The inhumane one-on-one battle with the goddess had finally ended. Very well, Qin Guang had learned even more new things this time. At the very least, through the strange power that the goddess empress threw out from time to time, Qin Guang had actually glimpsed the tip of the iceberg of the endless divine realm that she had mentioned. According to the Emperor of the Azure, this power was called the power of rules. Of course, Qin Guang could not learn such a high-level thing, nor did he know the knack of it. However, just from the name, he knew that it was very powerful and that it would be very painful to hit him. Even though Qin Guang had used the Emperor of the Azure to truly see the spectacular and unbelievably magnificent world of the endless heavenly realm, broadening his horizons, he was still a mortal after all. Even though he had seen these things with his own eyes, he could not completely understand the huge difference between a god and a human. I really want to strangle you to death. Unfortunately, I really don't dare to. If you die, I might really be trapped in this heavenly holy grail forever. Count yourself lucky, today I will let you off the hook for disrespecting me." The Emperor of the Azure clapped her hands proudly. After stretching, she felt refreshed, and the unhappiness from being punched just now was forgotten. "Why did you suddenly appear out of nowhere? Don't tell me it's just to beat me up?" Qin Guang's face was swollen, and he spoke in a muffled voice. The Emperor of the Azure was shocked by Qin Guang's framing. "You really are shameless and invincible. You were the one who attacked first, weren't you? Do you know that in the endless heavenly realm, disrespecting the Emperor of the Gods can result in being thrown into the heavenly prison at any moment, never to be freed? Back when I was traveling in Tianji province, a hooligan took liberties with me, and one of my pursuers killed all 19 trillion gods in the entire Tianji province. Other people only spoke disrespectfully, but you knocked me out with a punch today. I only beat you up and you still dare to be dissatisfied?" Qin Guang pouted. Yo, you're so powerful, so powerful. 19 trillion gods, that's really amazing, but you were knocked out with a punch from me? You don't seem to be that powerful. You still have the cheek to say that? I've painstakingly prepared a new test world for you, and I'm so tired that my divine power is exhausted, and my whole body is weak. That's why your sneak attack was successful. You punched me the moment we met and I still have to tolerate you. The Emperor of the Azure went berserk. Yes, but I'm still the only savior. If I die, you'll be finished with me. Qin Guang spread out his hands. I say, since you're asking me for help, your attitude should be better. Although I've boarded your pirate ship and can't get off, if you can talk to me nicely, perhaps we can still be friends. In this way, I'll be more motivated to complete the test of the heavenly holy grail, and you'll be freed earlier, right? I punched you to let you understand that although I'm a mortal, I have a temper and a temper. Emperor of the Azure, it doesn't matter how powerful you were in the heavenly realm in the past. In my opinion, the 3,000 tests of the heavenly holy grail aren't something that can be easily completed. If we're not of one mind and you've been holding back from me, I'm afraid the difficulty of this matter will increase infinitely. It had been a long time since Qin Guang obtained the celestial Saint Grail, and this was the first time that he was trying to have a calm talk with the glazed deity emperor. This was also something that he had been thinking of for a long time, and he could finally take this opportunity to say it. This was because Qin Guang also realized that living for a long time really didn't make one smart. Until now, the Emperor of the Azure's mind seemed to be stuck in her past identity as the God Emperor. She had no interest in talking to him as an equal. This woman is actually terrifyingly naive. This can't go on. I have to let her understand that we're in a cooperative relationship now, and she has to correct her attitude. Qin Guang's words had indeed enlightened the Emperor of the Azure. She was silent for a long time. All right, we have more time today. What do you want to ask? What do you want to tell me? Hurry up and ask. There are many things that I didn't tell you previously, but you really can't blame me. The Heavenly Holy Grail's level is too low now. Every time it's activated, it consumes energy rapidly. Time is really tight. I also have my own difficulties, don't I? All right, don't put on such an aggrieved look. Be a good girl, I promise to treat you slightly better in the future, okay? If you want to ask, hurry up and ask. Actually, I don't even know what you want to know. The Emperor of the Azure placed her hands on her hips and looked helpless. However, her attitude had indeed changed a lot from before. Although her words gave him goosebumps, Qin Guang wasn't in the mood to care about it anymore. He had too many things to ask her, so he hurriedly threw out a bunch of questions. The Emperor of the Azure answered them one by one. She was indeed very patient. Chapter 28. First of all, Emperor of the Azure said that the triggering of the realm in the cup was completely random. As long as the heavenly holy grail was fully prepared and its energy was fully recovered, it would appear at any time. It would not change according to Qin Guang's own will, and it was not something that he could summon whenever he wanted to. When the heavenly holy grail was triggered, it would immediately search his brain and find out what he wanted to do the most at that time. It would then immediately set it as a goal, set up a test space and throw him in until he achieved his goal, then he would be considered to have passed the test. The formation of the realm in the cup, just as Qin Guang had guessed previously, was indeed based on the real situation in the fiberglass cup at that time. When the cup was filled with water, it would form an ocean. If the cup was filled with sand, it would form a barren world. As for the difficulty of the test, it was still at the most basic level. However, according to Emperor of the Azure, as he continued to pass the test, the heavenly holy grail's realm would continue to increase, and the difficulty of the test would increase accordingly. The realm of the heavenly Holy Grail was divided into 9 levels, known as the 9 heavens. Currently it was the first level, the spirit-seeing sky. Qin Guang expressed, "What you said is very high and mighty, but I don't understand." Alright, I vaguely understand a little, but come to think of it, when it dragged me into the sea of moments last time, I was only thinking about learning English, right? In other words, in order to let me learn English, the heavenly Holy Grail created such a huge sea of moments for me? And I even had to hover between life and death in there? Why didn't it just simulate a new Oriental classroom and let me just memorize in there? Why did it have to muster so many people? Qin Guang was a little on the verge of breaking down. I only wanted to learn English, but you gave me the whole world. Emperor of the Azure chuckled. I think you understand, it's just like how people in your world write novels. The opening must be attractive and cool, and leave a strong sense of anticipation for the readers to continue reading. Our heavenly Holy Grail also kept up with the times and incorporated this setting. Considering that it was your first test, of course we couldn't fool you. I and the heavenly Holy Grail gave it our all, just to let you witness the power of a divine artifact. That was why we didn't increase the difficulty of the test, but prepared a complete and grand world view for you. We expended a little bit of our energy to change the easiest test in the spirit-seeing sky into the realm of the transient sea that only appears in the 8th heaven of the immortal God sky. After you completed the test, the heavenly Holy Grail and I collapsed from exhaustion, and I couldn't even come out to talk for a long time. You also know that I have been locked up for many, many years. Actually, I really want to find someone to talk to. In order to give you the most perfect first experience, I have spent a lot of effort. Oh, isn't it great? As long as you can successfully complete all the tests, you can become the true ruler of the realm of transient sea. There are so many beauties in there, and there's also your hot Captain Annie. When the time comes, you can do whatever you want to her. Other than the realm of the transient sea, there are many other similar small worlds waiting for you to explore. The Lord of the 3,000 Worlds. Just thinking about it makes one look forward to it. At that time, the number of cute girls that you can ask for will be counted in the trillions. I think I understand now. This is what it means to want to save face and suffer, right? Qin Guang rolled his eyes. I really have to thank your entire family for giving me such a profound first experience. You don't even know how scared I was living in the sea of moments, how tired and scared I was. I almost died because of you. What a cute girl, hee. But even if I'm the king of tentacles and my whole body is full of tiny d*CKs, I can't deal with trillions of cute girls. Can't you guys start off a little friendlier? In addition to attracting attention at the beginning of the novel, you have to pay attention to the gradual progression. Actually, Qin Guang blamed Emperor of the Azure wrongly. Even though the realm of the transient sea seemed to be a narrow escape, it wasn't difficult at all. After all, he had 100 chances of reviving. The huge realm of the transient sea helped him obtain many benefits other than English. Hey, you don't understand. These 2 days I've been pondering over the concepts and knowledge of your world. Let me explain it to you in simpler terms. Gods and humans combine in a completely different way. To a true god, it's the exchange of feelings between husband and wife. You don't need to make love like mortals do. You can also experience extreme pleasure. To put it simply, in our God's world, this is called spiritual intercourse. Spiritual intercourse doesn't limit the number of partners. At the same time, you can have as many partners as you want. Furthermore, the more partners you have, the more pleasure you get, the more intense it is. Sigh, it's such a pity. I, Emperor of the Azure, am such a perfect woman. I've lived for countless eras, but I've never met a Prince Charming that I like. I've never experienced spiritual intercourse before. I've read about this from the little porn book that my father, the master god of chaos, kept. Emperor of the Azure said calmly. Yo, your sister. Qin Guang was impressed. Spiritual intercourse. How appropriate and pertinent. Prince Charming. Big sister, you're really good at talking. I can't even refute you. Come to think of it, the master god of chaos is such a domineering and cool existence. Why would he keep a little porn book? Why am I so curious? Why do I want to know what the master god's little porn book looks like? Dear Azure goddess, do you have your father's little porn book with you? Can I take a look at it? Qin Guang actually spoke out. Emperor of the Azure shook her head in distress. Sai, stop talking. I want to bring the little porn book with me so that I won't be trapped in the heavenly Holy Grail. That little porn book has a total of 100 billion pages. Every page is a very erotic and violent little world. It contains the essence of my father's divine power. It's one of the divine weapons that is as famous as the heavenly Holy Grail. The essence of divine power. Can you not say such an erotic thing so casually, you bastard? Come to think of it, It's really sad that the Heavenly Holy Grail is as famous as the little porn book. Oh yes, since you appeared while I was playing the game, the content of the test must be related to the game I'm playing, right? Qin Guang asked. Emperor of the Azure nodded. Indeed, it's related to the game you're playing. It's quite interesting. I'd like to try it later. You'll know soon enough. Of course, because you overdrew a little too much energy last time, from this time onwards, your test world will return to its normal level. The sky of spirit seeing will only be on the scale of the sky of spirit seeing. Perhaps it will be slightly smaller than the true sky of spirit seeing. As the woman spoke, the color of the fluttering feather dress on her suddenly faded and became translucent again. Why did she say again? Qin Guang's eyes widened as he wondered if this woman was an exhibitionist, right? It was the same last time and now it's happening again. Could this be the fixed benefit of being a redeemer? Come to think of it, it's not bad. Damn it. Once the test space is here, my divine power can't keep up. I've been taken advantage of by this kid again. Go for me. Emperor of the Azure took a step forward. She imitated the way Qin Guang punched her. From below, she punched Qin Guang's chin. Qin Guang, who was in a daze, was sent flying into the air. Time's up. You're the one who's exhibitionist. It's not like I made you transparent. What right do you have to hit me? Qin Guang floated in the air. His chin was crooked from the punch. Emperor of the Azure rubbed her fist. The God Emperor doesn't need to explain to a mortal like you when he does things. Can you not expose yourself when you're acting cool? This will destroy my worldview. I've already said that you guys are suffering because you want to save face. It's obviously you guys who wanted to act cool and create the instantaneous ocean. That's why your divine power can't hold on. Half of Qin Guang's body had already been sucked into the space-time tunnel. However, he still roared out those words. Bayu, Qin Guang disappeared. Chapter 29. Emperor of the Azure stomped her foot angrily. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. Actually, what she was most angry about was not that he had seen her taking advantage of him, but that he had seen through the fact that she was suffering for her pride. Although she said it casually, the aftereffects of building a huge realm of the transient sea were actually quite serious. Under normal circumstances, as Qin Guang followed the sequence of the 9 heavens and passed through the test worlds, every test world that was built would become the energy source of the Heavenly Holy Grail after Qin Guang left. This energy could slowly replenish Emperor of the Azure's depleted divine power, and it could also help the Heavenly Holy Grail rise from the spirit-seeing sky to the 2nd sky, the 3rd sky, the cloud elephant sky and so on, all the way to the 9th sky beyond sky. However, Qin Guang's first test world was forcefully raised to the 8th sky of Immortal God, which directly caused the Heavenly Holy Grail and Emperor of the Azure's divine power to be greatly depleted. Now, they were suffering the consequences of their own actions. Of course, the Emperor of the Azure was not the only one who was tricked. Roughly 30 seconds after Qin Guang appeared in the test world, he let out a heart-wrenching shriek. This is what you meant by a tiny bit of shrinkage? This is F*King confinement. At this moment, he was in an enclosed space with a radius of less than 100 meters. The space was shrouded and blocked by invisible walls. Through the walls, he could clearly see himself raising his cup and preparing to drink water. However, everything outside seemed to have been frozen and was in a state of complete stillness. The boundless sea surface of the transient sea had turned into an oval puddle. The tea leaves that had been soaking in the water had turned into wires that were scattered all over the puddle. The tea leaves that had a tip sticking out of them had become the only platform in the puddle. A computer was placed on top of the platform. Other than that, there was nothing else. Qin Guang did a mental calculation and wailed. This basically means that I've become a 1 millimeter tall miniature person and am trapped in this cup, right? Because I'm raising my cup to drink water, and the water surface is also oval. Hey. Why do the wires look like they're covered in mosaics? You can't be this frugal. Where's Ivy's graphics? Alright, I've been discovered by you. There's nothing I can do even if I've shrunk to this extent. Just hold on a little longer. Emperor of the Azure's voice was heard. The last time you spoke in my mind, it was still a lossless sound quality. This time, even the sound quality of the message has become that of a phone call. There's no one else who can cut corners like you. Don't worry about the details. Hurry up and crawl in front of the computer. I have a piece of good news. You won't feel hungry, thirsty, or tired in this space. You can play the game to your heart's content. Emperor of the Azure said some good news. But if I'm locked up for too long, I'll suffer from depression. Qin Guang expressed his dissatisfaction. That won't happen. In here you won't even feel depressed. Don't underestimate the power of the heavenly Holy Grail. Although this is a shrunken version of the trial space, it's still complete despite its small size. The purpose of this space is to allow you to reach the level of the best professional players in the world in the shortest time possible. It will eliminate all unfavorable factors and control your psychological state. Do you see that computer? Young man, go and work hard. Become the strongest Dota 2 player in history. Then you'll pass the trial. The graphics and sound quality are all small problems. As long as the computer's gaming functions can satisfy you, it'll be fine. Why don't you use such cruel and extreme closed-door training on my business skills? I'm in need of money. Business skills? The comprehensive qualities required are too complex. You'll need to be at least level 3 Cloud Elephant Sky. Moreover, you won't be able to pass the difficulty of Cloud Elephant Sky's trial. Who asked you to be playing the game when I appeared? Young man, this is your fate. Accept it. Qin Guang was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. He weakly crawled onto the computer chair. I protest. I don't want this hardwood chair. I want Direx's genuine leather gaming chair. That will consume too much divine power. Save as much as you can. The conditions are a little harsh, but make do with it. At least you have the back of the chair. It's already good enough that the heavenly Holy Grail didn't give you a one-legged stool. It's hard to start a business. Long live the understanding. You've worked hard. I'm leaving first. Instead of arguing with me, you might as well get back to training. At this moment, Qin Guang's face was filled with tears. Qin Guang didn't know how other professional players trained, but he felt that no one in this world could train more professionally and crazily than him. He wouldn't get tired, he wouldn't feel sleepy, he didn't want to sleep, and he didn't want to give up. It was as if his hands weren't his own hands anymore, but a precise machine. His brain wasn't a normal human brain either, but a giant calculator with explosive computing speed. This time, the world in the cup gave him such an extraordinary experience. The world in the cup was indeed scary. Even if this so-called whole world was a completely enclosed small space, at least the computer in front of Qin Guang was extraordinary. Even though he knew that his opponents and teammates were illusory characters that did not exist, and could even be said to be AIs given by the system, the degree of realism of these AIs was so high that it was hard to mistake the fake for the real one. No, they were actually real. Qin Guang could freely choose the match state he wanted. Whether it was 3,000-point noobs pecking at each other or 7,000-point pinnacle duels, he could choose anything he wanted. Of course, he could also choose his teammates to be 3,000 points, and his opponents to be 7,000 points. However, no matter how he set it up, in a real battle in the game, whether it was a strong player with a high division or a noob with a low division, they all gave him the same feeling as they did in reality. Even the hysterical arguments from the voice chat were incomparably real. That wasn't all. The matchups created by the system AIs were never the same. It was as if there were really 9 people on the other side of the network fighting with Qin Guang in this game. No wonder the other conditions of the world in the cup were so simple and crude. It was as if the essence of the entire world in the cup was in the game on the computer in front of him. To become a top-tier player in Dota 2, there were 3 key points. First, it required unparalleled reaction speed. When you needed to make the right choice, you had to be able to make a decision in a shorter time than others, and put it into action immediately. Secondly, one needed to have a deep understanding of the game. One needed to know when to farm money, when to form a party, when to drop what kind of equipment, and how to control an area's field of vision. One needed to constantly observe the minimap, calculate the progress of the game, observe the opponent's equipment, read the match thoroughly, figure out the opponent's next move, and figure out what kind of measures one should take in such a situation. A small decision could often decide the outcome of the entire game. The third was naturally the practice makes perfect training. Only through repetitive and boring training could one's hands become exceptionally nimble, and the heart and hands could achieve perfect coordination. Once the heart had a thought, the hand movements could immediately turn the thought into actual action. As long as one could do these 3 points well, one could become an outstanding professional player. Qin Guang's reaction speed was naturally not bad. Especially after a long period of killing in the Sea of Time, his dynamic vision and decision-making ability were top-notch. This could also be used in the game. Qin Guang was very bad at this game. At the end of the day, it was because he liked to play, but he didn't really put his heart into the game. He only used it as a way to relax his body and mind. Well, to put it bluntly, he was lazy. He was too lazy to train his basic skills, his last-hit skills, his rhythm of farming money, and so on. He was also too lazy to study the playstyle of hero. He would mess around, get into group fights, and fall behind in the game. This was a very competitive game. If he didn't put in any effort, he would be bad. This was very fair. But just because he was weak before didn't mean that Qin Guang couldn't become an expert. He had the potential in this area. The training in the World in the Cup was to squeeze out all of his potential. Qin Guang's hellish training might not be painful in the beginning, it could even be said to be a little enjoyable. It wasn't like there weren't any crazy players who would sit in front of the computer and fight for days and nights without eating or sleeping. But when Qin Guang looked at the time on the computer and realized that he had been sitting like a zombie for a full 10 days, that little bit of fun turned into torture. According to the World in the Cup's evaluation of his ability, if the world's strongest professional players were rated 100 points, then Wenwen's current level was actually as high as 88 points. In the past, Qin Guang, who was an amateur noob with 3,000 points, would only be around 30 to 40 points. But now, after 10 days of hard work, Qin Guang's level had finally risen to 60 points. This seemed like a godly improvement, but Qin Guang had been sitting in front of the computer without eating, drinking, or resting for a full 10 days. The price was too heavy. He felt like he was about to turn into a robot. I really want to rest, but I'm not tired at all. Even if I sit down and lie down, I don't do anything. My mind will run wild, but I'm not tired at all. There's no video on the computer and I can't even go online. Other than playing games, there's really nothing else I can do. I say, Emperor of the Azure, are you sent by the heavens to punish me? I'm just a little lazy playing a game and you want me to play until I puke. Okay, I really want to puke. In the blink of an eye, another 20 days passed. Qin Guang had completely become a zombie, expressionless. He himself seemed to have become a computer AI, sitting in front of the computer with his back straight. He looked stiff, but his hand speed was extremely fast as he controlled his character. At this time he was challenging a group of players with 3,000 points and 3 with 5,000 points to fight against another group of players with only 5,000 points. Both sides fought back and forth, each with their own victories and defeats. Not bad, Qin Guang could already do the same things as Wenwen. But this was not enough. The final goal of the World in the Cup was to make him the strongest Dota 2 player in history. In a long journey of 10,000 miles, the most difficult part was the last part. Qin Guang went from a player with 88 points to a player with full points. This short gap of 12 points took him 2 whole months. In these 3 months, Qin Guang went from a noob to a real Dota 2 fighting machine. With his current level, if he wanted to, he could go to any team in the world and become the main force. He could even form his own team. As long as he alone held up the backbone, the team could achieve good results. This was simply a miracle. Only Qin Guang himself could understand how torturous this seemingly short 3 months was. If it wasn't for the World in the Cup not allowing him to collapse and be depressed, he would have personally ended his life. This wasn't the usual 3 months, but 24 hours a day without a break, without any pause. He was like Sisyphus who was punished by God. Forever without any rest, he pushed this rock called Dota 2, climbing the seemingly endless mountain peak. It repeated endlessly like a nightmare. Chapter 30. When the evaluation system deemed that he had finally reached the standard, Qin Guang burst into tears. His eyes rolled back and he was about to collapse. The various negative emotions that were forcefully suppressed by the World in the Cup also swarmed in at this moment. It was like an unstoppable wave that engulfed his mind in an instant. His mind immediately suffered great damage and his pupils dilated. He was actually going to die because of the damage to his mind. This made Emperor of the Azure anxious. She quickly burned her divine power and forcibly instilled a part of her will into Qin Guang's subconscious to protect his mind. Then she used her divine power to repair his mental injuries bit by bit. When she was done with all this, she had completely overdrawn her remaining divine power. The direct result was that her lustrous feather dress had completely disintegrated. Unfortunately, as soon as Qin Guang opened his eyes, he was thrown out of the World in the Cup by Emperor of the Azure. He did not get to eat any of the delicious Emperor tofu. With a shudder, Qin Guang finally returned to the real world. He turned his head to look to his side. Wenwen was still staring at the screen with full attention. She was dealing with the solo hero opposite her. However, this time her situation was a little bad. Just as she was about to kill the opposing hero solo again, 2 enemies suddenly jumped out from the shadows of the forest. Surrounded by 3 people, even someone as strong as Wenwen was still lying dead within 5 seconds. With the death of Wenwen, this game was also a lost game. So I lost again. I really lost. Wenwen sighed and turned her head to look at Qin Guang. There was some unwillingness in her eyes, but she did not care too much. Anyway, it was not the first time that she had lost in weight training. Qin Guang forced a smile and turned his eyes back to his screen. He looked at the time. From the time he raised the cup and prepared to drink until now, only less than 5 seconds had passed. The game isn't over yet. As Chen Guang spoke, he stretched his body slightly. Although he had a strong nausea when he looked at the game, it seemed that his self-control had improved a lot. It was not that he could not persevere. Since he had successfully passed the test of the Heavenly Holy Grail, and since he had become the strongest player in the truest sense of the word, if he did not do something in this game, he would be letting down the hellish special training that he had gone through. No matter what, he had to persevere until the end of this game. Chen Guang controlled his hero to walk out of the spring. His eyes were filled with unprecedented determination. You still have 30 seconds to resurrect. I'll lie in ambush in the middle. When you resurrect, I'll fly over immediately and do something big. 30 seconds later, Wenwen's teleportation circle lit up. The three opponents pushed the tower and leaned forward a little, planning to take the head of this person who overestimated himself and tried to save the tower. Chen Guang darted out from the shadows and controlled his hero, Enigma. He used a small skill to control one and summoned a small enigma to block the other two's movement. Then, through extremely subtle control, he dodged the opponent's non-directional control skill and released an ultimate skill to control the three of them. At the same time, Wenwen's hero, Carl, landed on the ground. It was a clean and efficient group damage combo. 3 kills. Chen Guang, whose health was low, immediately went into the jungle. He quickly killed 2 waves of monsters and took out the key item, the blink dagger. The 3 of them who were cursing in the voice chat earlier could not help but open their mouths wide when they heard the system voice chat boasting about pork, even though they were far away from each other. Chen Guang typed, "I think we can still win. This game can still be salvaged. What do you guys think?" The other 3 did not believe it. However, this was a game where people did not retreat as long as the tower did not fall. Even if they were at an extreme disadvantage, as long as the world tree was still there, why should they give up? Let's try again? A minute later, one of the party members was surrounded by 2 enemies in the jungle. Chen Guang appeared in blink and repeated the same trick. He first stunned one of them, then turned around to use his skill on the monster, summoning his underlings to block the position and save the party member. This enigma was like a completely different person. Chen Guang turned off the voice chat. It was about time to communicate with his teammates. "I say, brother, you were acting before, right? You shouldn't have just given up like that, right? Alright, I was a little overboard with my words just now. Let's fight together. There's still a chance." This was how interesting the game was. As long as you could display strength that was worthy of respect, your teammates would give you enough respect. This was especially so in the police station, where the quality of the players was generally very high. Chen Guang coughed mysteriously. It was my cousin who was playing before. 5 minutes later, Chen Guang acted as bait alone. He used Highland Shadow and Enigma to block the way and gathered the 5 opponents together. Then he used the perfect interval between attacks to last until the cooldown of Blink Dagger. Then he used Blink Dagger to rush into the middle of the enemy's group and unleashed his ultimate skill. The 5 of them. At the same time, Wenwen arrived with the other 3. Chen Guang's health had dropped to single digits, but he was still not dead. His team wiped out the enemy without any losses. They had turned the tables. They had completely turned the tables. Chen Guang's previous series of actions had surpassed the classics. This was an extremely rare stroke of genius, but in the entire game he had actually done it at least 4 times. The first time he preserved the spark. The second time he turned the tide. The third time he turned the tables. The fourth time he secured the victory. Chen Guang used these 4 godlike actions to turn the tables from a situation that was infinitely close to 0. When the enemy's base was destroyed, Wenwen put down her mouse and turned to look at him. After a moment of silence she said, "Brother, you're invincible." In the game's voice chat, the other 3 were also crazily venting their emotions one after another. Some of the smarter players had already organized the video of this game and were ready to upload it to the video editor. However, Chen Guang only put down his headphones and mouse. He gave Wenwen a demonic smile and then turned his head. He was about to vomit and could not take it anymore. "I'm going to the toilet." After saying that, Chen Guang jumped up from his chair and went straight to the toilet. The next moment, sounds of vomiting could be heard coming from the toilet. Wenwen touched her face. "It said that you'll get tired of looking at the same face for a long time. Even if that's the case, brother, your reaction is a little too extreme. I'm the campus belle." Chen Guang vomited in the toilet until he was in a daze. He almost vomited all of his stomach acid. He stood up shakily and shook his head violently. Then he went outside and washed his face with cold water for a long time before he finally calmed down. Damn it. The old man is convinced. I'm really convinced. It's useless for you to train me to be the world's strongest. I've only played for 20 minutes and I'm actually vomiting like this. What a scam. You don't care what I'm doing. You appear at any time and only detect what I want to do at that moment. So evil. Wait, toilet. It's terrifying to think about it. Damn it. What if you suddenly appear the next time I'm squatting to take a dump? Wouldn't I be trained to be the world's #1 anal prolapse king? F***ck me. No one would have thought that the ultimate Dota 2 powerhouse who had been circulating on the internet for a long time was currently worrying about his rough fate. Chapter 31. After vomiting all over the toilet, Qin Guang returned to his seat, sat down, and logged out of the game as fast as he could. I can't watch this anymore. It's toxic. What happened to you just now? It's like you're cheating. Hey, how did you do it? Wenwen pounced on Qin Guang, cupped his face and looked at him from left to right. In the next second, Wenwen's excitement disappeared. She could see that Qin Guang's expression wasn't right. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Qin Guang had an idea and nodded. I caught a cold. You can catch a cold in this weather? Wenwen was shocked. I caught a fever. It's from the heat. It's uncomfortable. Qin Guang lied without hesitation. Unfortunately, his acting skills were terrible. Moreover, Wenwen knew him so well that she could see through him with just one look. Wenwen grabbed Qin Guang's face with both hands. It can't be like this. Wenwen's face was very close to Qin Guang's. As she spoke, the fragrance of orchids came out of her mouth and landed on Qin Guang's face. It was warm and moist, but also had an enchanting fragrance. Because it was summer, she was wearing loose clothes. As Wenwen leaned over, Qin Guang's little eyes unconsciously went to her collar, and he saw the two enchanting halves. Well, in fact, this kind of thing had happened hundreds of times in the past few years, if not thousands. Qin Guang said that his sexual orientation was normal, and he wouldn't have any impulses towards his brother. What he was really afraid of was that Wenwen saw through his change in the Holy Grail. This brother's insight was terrifying. Qin Guang's face twitched. Well, it's actually related to the game I was playing. Just now as I was playing, I felt that I wasn't playing well and I felt very unhappy. I thought no matter what, I must play well. I'm telling you, it was as if I was possessed by the god of games. My reflexes were so quick and my controls so precise that I couldn't believe it myself. As you can see, we made a comeback. I just don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because I've exhausted too much of my mental strength. I feel nauseous, disgusted, and uncomfortable when I see the game, so... Wenwen grunted and took a step back. I've heard of this phenomenon. In the past, there was a mother who used her hands to move the car away when her child was pinned under it. In other words, when a person was forced into a desperate situation, it was possible for his adrenaline to go out of control and explode with unprecedented power. That's what I said. Even though players with 3,000 points are noobs, they can still occasionally perform amazingly. Just now, you must have lost control of your adrenaline, that's why you're so good. Hehe, you've been training with me with weights, so you must be under a lot of pressure. It's been hard on you. Next time, I won't drag you into a game with 5,000 points. I'll open a new account, and let's play a lower-level fish pond together. Clearly, Wenwen had misunderstood. She thought that Qin Guang had lost control of his emotions due to his poor performance in the game, and instead went into an abnormal state of madness. After the game, he wanted to vomit, but that was also a side effect of his adrenaline overload. Qin Guang thought that her understanding was not wrong. After all, he couldn't tell her that he had been playing in the Cup realm for 3 whole months, 2,160 hours, and that it was purely the result of vomiting. Wenwen still wanted to continue and wanted to start another game, but Qin Guang really couldn't take it anymore, so he let her play on the side and Qin Guang turned his head to read a novel. Well, actually, just looking at the computer screen was extremely harmful to him. He resisted the nausea, logged into Qidian, voted for his favorite novel, and then lay down on the chair to sleep. That author was too pitiful. All of his completed books had been blocked, and now that he was starting a new book, the author's information was only this new book, and he was doing worse than a newbie. It was really sad, and Qin Guang only voted for him because he pitied him. About an hour later, the drowsy Qin Guang was shaken awake by Wenwen. It seems like you can't take it anymore. Alright, let's go back to school. Playing a game made you so exhausted. You're really something. Wenwen said as she lifted Qin Guang up and pushed him out. Wait a minute, I almost forgot, my cup. Qin Guang turned around and picked up his cup. You're really amazing. You really don't forget your cup no matter where you go. Is the beauty on it that pretty? Is there someone prettier than me? Wenwen pushed Qin Guang from behind, pretending to be jealous. Qin Guang laughed. You don't understand. Yeah, I really don't understand. Wenwen laughed. When they walked through the school gate, Qin Guang suddenly said, I'll go to the parking lot later. I want to go to the sports car tonight. Since tomorrow is the weekend, I don't mind sleeping late. What? Are you crazy? You're already so tired and you still want to go to the sports car? Hurry up and go back and rest. Wenwen Queen was furious. She grabbed Qin Guang's ear and pushed him towards the direction of the boys' dormitory. Qin Guang's face was full of tears. I really have a cheap mouth. Can't I just send her back first and then come out quietly? I'm not tired. I'm in such a good state that I can ascend to the heavens. I'm just puking from playing games. I want to go and drive now just to change my mood and clear my mind. Otherwise, how can I sleep tonight? However, he couldn't explain it. He could only follow Wenwen and walk into the boys' dormitory 7 with a bitter face. After hiding in the stairwell for a while, Qin Guang estimated that Wenwen had gone far away. He sneaked out of dormitory 7 and went straight to the parking lot. Tomorrow was the weekend. The school didn't have a power outage at night and the gates weren't closed. Qin Guang planned to drive for 5 to 6 hours. I'm not lacking in money now. I'm driving for the mood, for leisure. Whistling, he got into the car. Qin Guang started the car and leisurely left the school gate. How could he know that in the dark, a girl had tears in her eyes and her voice was choked? You liar, don't be such a male chauvinist. If you're really lacking in money, you should have told me. Can you not be so stubborn to save face? You're already so tired, why do you still want to go to the sports car? Do you still see me as a brother? Wenwen's soliloquy sounded like she was crying. Qin Guang's behavior made her heart ache. If Qin Guang knew that Wenwen was actually hiding in the dark and feeling sad, he would definitely waste a lot of effort to think of an appropriate expression to face Wenwen's sadness. The old man really wasn't tired. He really just wanted to drive for the mood. During the day there would be some traffic jams in Wuxia City. Even an experienced driver like Qin Guang would often be stuck in the endless traffic and feel so miserable that he'd rather die. Therefore, during the day he could only make 1 order per hour. But at night it was different. Wuxia City's road construction was in the forefront of the country. As long as the overall traffic volume was lower than the road's minimum pressure tolerance, the driver could enjoy the perfect experience that other cities could only dream of. No matter where you wanted to go, you could always find a spacious 4-lane road to get you to your destination. Therefore, at night, Qin Guang could make at least 2 orders per hour. If all the orders were short-distance orders with a low price, he could even make 3 trips per hour. His driving therapy was indeed effective. After about 3 or 4 hours, Qin Guang had made a total of 10 orders. The key was that his mind had completely forgotten the excruciating pain of playing the game. But he still didn't plan to go back. In Qin Guang's own words, the old man was so full of energy that he was about to explode. If he didn't burn a little bit, he would spontaneously combust. Usually, he didn't drive a sports car too late at night. On one hand, the school was closed and he had classes during the day. On the other hand, it was easy for a sports car to get into trouble at night. In the group that Qin Guang was in, there were already 2 unlucky brothers who encountered robbers pretending to be passengers at night. The lucky one lost 2 empty bank cards and had around 100 yuan on him. As for the unlucky brother, about 3 months ago, Qin Guang attended his funeral. At least 300 people from the group of more than 1,000 people attended. Everyone added up to 40,000 yuan and donated it to the family of the deceased brother on the spot. It was also tragic. But now, Qin Guang was a cold-blooded second mate who had experienced cruel training in the Sea of Time. Even the second hellish test was easily completed, so the small risk of driving a sports car late at night was nothing to him. If he really encountered a robber, he could also get rid of a pest for the people. Well, let's forget the meaningless second test. In short, when it was already 2 in the morning, Qin Guang still parked the car on the side of the famous bar street of Wuxia City, Jidankyo Road. He was reading a novel on his phone while waiting for the next passenger. Chapter 32. Hello, are you at the roadside where the order is being placed? I'll come and pick you up immediately. After a while, as usual, after accepting the order, Qin Guang called the other party. Who are you? Why are you calling me so late? Don't bother me, I want to sleep. It was a drunken woman's voice on the phone. It sounded muffled, as if she was about to fall asleep in the next second. The phone was hung up and Qin Guang was at a loss. It can't be? Could it be that I called the wrong number? It can't be. I called directly from the internet software. Can the software make a mistake? Forget it, I'll try again. He clicked on the passenger information in the driver's app and dialed the number again. It was picked up and it was still the same voice. Don't bother me. I was hung up again. Qin Guang's face darkened, and he began to doubt his life. Could it be that I really called the wrong number? After staring for a long time, he was sure that he really didn't call the wrong number. Then the question was, what was wrong with the person on the other side? Could it be that this person made a mistake when registering an account? He really didn't want to give up this order. Up until now, his order completion rate was as high as 100%, which was not easy to maintain. As a sad person with obsessive-compulsive disorder, Qin Guang really wanted to maintain his 100% completion rate at all costs today. But in such a strange situation after calling, the other party was not reasonable at all. It seemed that he had no choice but to give up. Helplessly, he looked at the location of the other party on the order. Yes, it was about 400 meters in front of the roadside in front of another big bar. Forget it, no matter what, I'll drive over to take a look. If I really can't find the passenger, then forget it, I'll accept my fate. He slowly started the car and drove forward. According to the positioning display, he seemed to have arrived at his destination after driving for about 400 meters. He turned his head and looked out of the car window, but there was nothing. Not far from the entrance of the bar, there were still countless men and women going in and out, but no one cared about his silver Hyundai. F***ck. What a scam. Qin Guang couldn't help cursing as he wanted to cancel the order and drive back to school. Money wasn't important. Even if his completion rate dropped from 100% to 92%, it wouldn't affect his income. However, losing the perfect data made him unhappy. He didn't need a reason to be unhappy. Before he left, he reluctantly made another call. Ding 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 ding, huh? Strangely, the phone rang not far from the car. Do. The other party hung up again. Unwilling to give up, Qin Guang dialed the number again and it rang again. He propped himself up from the driver's seat and poked his head out of the passenger's window. To his surprise, there was a slender woman lying on the ground beside his car. Under the dim streetlight, Qin Guang couldn't see her face clearly, but her tight-fitting jeans and slim-fitting plaid shirt revealed her curvaceous figure. This woman was a little tempting. She was still holding the phone in her hand and the phone kept ringing. She was really drunk. In a daze, she fumbled for the phone for a long time before she put it to her ear. You're so annoying. Don't let me know who you are or I won't let you go. She hung up the phone again. 10,000 mythological beasts roared in Qin Guang's heart, and he was also speechless. This drunk woman, you have such a good figure and you just fell asleep on the side of the road. You still won't let me go. I still don't want to let you go. Are you F***king sick? If you didn't make the order, who the hell would come? Qin Guang's finger was already placed on the cancel order. He was really a little angry. He usually didn't like to pick up drunk people, whether it was a man or a woman. As long as they were drunk, he would be annoyed. On one hand, it was a hidden danger to his safety. Drunkards could do anything, and on the other hand they would vomit on the car. Not to mention how sour the taste was. That sour smell was not easy to wash off even if it was washed. What's more, this woman was really not a normal drunk. She was about to completely lose her subjective consciousness and become a fish with a memory of only 7 seconds. She had just made the order 3 minutes ago, and she had already F***king forgotten it completely, treating the side of the road as her own bed. With Qin Guang's rich experience, he could almost conclude that this woman would 100% vomit in his car. Well, you go somewhere cool, I won't disturb your sleep. Qin Guang's finger pressed to cancel the order, and an option popped up on the phone. When the driver refused the order, he had to find an even more useless reason from several seemingly useless options. In any case, no matter what you choose, if the transaction rate is low, your reward will still be deducted. What the F***ck, why aren't any passengers idiots? I refuse this option. Qin Guang randomly selected another option, and was about to make a final confirmation when suddenly there was a sudden noise from the passenger's side window. Sister Lin really fell from the sky. This girl is so drunk, is there no one to take care of her? Tsk, this body, it's really not bad. A very frivolous man's voice came from outside the window, and he sounded a little drunk. Hey, Beauty, why are you here alone? Where's your friend? Isn't he with you? Beauty, wake up. Another middle-aged man squatted beside the girl, shouting into her ear. Get lost. Don't bother me. I want to sleep. I don't have friends, I don't F***king need friends. You guys get lost. The woman waved her arms randomly in a daze, as if she wanted to drive away these two men like flies. Yo, your temper is quite bad. You came here alone? We have a good relationship and both of us are very helpful. How can you sleep on the side of the road? What if you catch a cold? Come, we're your friends, let's send you to rest. Small explosion? Really? What else? Brother Long, let me tell you, this kind of woman who comes to a bar to get drunk in the middle of the night, there are not many who are serious, not to mention she really got herself drunk. You tell me, a woman who can drink alone in a bar, how can she be serious? Now that she's drunk, we'll carry her to the hotel and do what we need to do. Then we'll leave. Even if she wakes up tomorrow morning and realizes that something is wrong, she won't be able to remember what happened tonight. We just need to be careful not to leave any bodily fluids behind. Let me tell you, this isn't the first time I've done this, I know what to do. If you want to blame someone, blame her for coming here alone to drink and getting drunk. Brother Long, cherish this opportunity, this is called a dewy marriage, it's a gift from the heavens. The frivolous young man from before continued. That's the logic, alright. Let's do it. You don't say, this little girl is really beautiful. The middle-aged man seemed to be persuaded. Chen Guang's hand froze. Originally he really didn't want to care about this drunk woman, but things had turned out like this. He had clearly heard the conversation between these two people. If he just walked away like this, he might not be able to live with his conscience. Chapter 33. He stood up abruptly, opened the door and got out of the car. Turning to the right, he saw two men bending down to pick the woman up. Get lost. There's no need to speak nicely with such trash, so Chen Guang stomped on the two men's shoulders, sending the two men who had just bent down and couldn't even touch the woman's shoulders flying back. F***CK. You're asking for it. The young man named Xiao Bao rolled on the ground, straightened his body and rushed toward Chen Guang. Scum. Who are you calling asking for it? F***CK, I heard every word you said just now. I'm going to kill you too, scum. Chen Guang could not be bothered to reason with him. He took a step forward and faced Xiao Bao. He reached out, grabbed Xiao Bao's fist and twisted it forcefully, causing the kid to scream and turn sideways. As he turned sideways, Chen Guang kicked the kid's waist with his left leg, causing him to fall to the right and fall on his butt in the flower bed by the roadside. The middle-aged man named Brother Long stood up. He was dressed in a suit and looked very dignified, but his eyes were filled with fear when he looked at Chen Guang. To put it bluntly, he was a coward. Friend. What's up, friend? Brother Long said as he wanted to retreat, but he saw Xiao Bao groaning in pain in the flower bed. He wanted to run but couldn't. Chen Guang strode forward and stood in front of Brother Long. Friend? If I really have friends like you, I'll definitely strangle him to death with my own hands. He kicked the kid's stomach, causing him to fall on his butt. Then he curled up and covered his stomach as he rolled on the ground. F***CKU. Trash. Chen Guang spat to the side, then picked up the woman on the ground and stuffed her into the back seat. When Chen Guang was about to drive off, the middle-aged man and Xiao Bao supported each other and stood up again. They stood by the roadside and pointed at Chen Guang and shouted, "You're talking about us. Aren't you the same?" Chen Guang's face turned cold. "I'm different from you. I'm a human and you're beast scum. You should be glad that I don't have a license to kill, or else I'd really kill you today. I took her to my car because she sent me an order and I wanted to take her to her destination. It was as simple as that. Get lost." After Chen Guang finished speaking, he pretended to get out of the car again. The two of them hurriedly hugged each other and ran away in fear. What a fucking piece of trash. Chen Guang started the car. He didn't think too much about it. The order that this woman sent had a destination. He didn't care too much about it. He just needed to get her there. Halfway through the car, the woman vomited in the back seat and a pungent, sour smell filled the car. Chen Guang slammed his palm on the steering wheel. He was so angry, but there was nothing he could do. He wanted to be a good person, so he could only blame it on his bad luck. Hey, are you feeling better? Hey. Wake up. Hey. Chen Guang shouted without turning his head as he drove. Gulp, gulp, gulp. After vomiting for a while, the woman actually fell asleep in the back seat. I'm so **cat up. Don't tell me she still won't wake up after I take her to her destination. Her destination didn't specify the district, but only Guanghua Street Section 3. What the **CK should I do? What he feared had come true. When he reached her destination, the woman was already dead asleep. Shaking her head didn't work and she wouldn't wake up. Chen Guang's only harvest was that he managed to see her face with the help of the headlights in the car. He inwardly cursed, "Fortunately, I managed to save you today. Tell me, How did you dare to get drunk outside a bar with such a gorgeous face? Not to mention that Xiao Bao and Brother Long she had met earlier. If it were any other men, even if they were slightly drunk, they would definitely sit beside her and wait to be raped by her when they saw her like that and recalled the famous legend of the 9 Arches Bridge Road. The woman had shoulder-length hair. She didn't have any makeup on, but there was a soul-sucking aura in between her brows. She had an oval face, and her facial features were as exquisite as porcelain from Jingdezhen. Even Qin Guang was tempted. You vomited in my car, so don't blame me for taking advantage of you. Qin Guang reached out and took out her phone from her pocket. That's right, Qin Guang felt that he had taken advantage of her. Now he could only try to look through her phone's directory to see if he could help her contact a friend or family member. What a scam. Why does your phone come with a screensaver and unlock password? 45 seconds later the phone displayed, "Sorry, you have entered the wrong password 5 times. Please try again in 5 minutes." Qin Guang threw the phone on the back seat. Director, can I say vulgarities? What should I do? Standing in front of the car door, Qin Guang was in a dilemma. He couldn't leave, but he couldn't stay either. He had already sent her here. He couldn't just leave her by the roadside and run away, could he? But she didn't wake up. She was so drunk and he couldn't contact her family. There was only one word in Qin Guang's mind. Annoying. Forget it for now. I'll clean up the mess she vomited in the car. Enduring the discomfort, Qin Guang used half a pack of toilet paper to clean up the unpleasant red and white substance near the back seat. However, he still couldn't get rid of the smell and there was nothing he could do about it. As for the dirt on the woman's shirt, Qin Guang chose to ignore it. He wasn't familiar with her, so this was enough to help her. At that moment she forced herself up again. *CK. It's coming. The second wave is coming. I'm going to break down. Qin Guang hit her head with both hands. Can you vomit all at once if you want to? What I did just now was for naught. The remaining half of the toilet paper was gone. What was more frightening was that the woman was vomiting in the wrong position. In short, those things were covering her face. Qin Guang, who had been drunk before, knew that he couldn't ignore this situation. If those things blocked her windpipe, she might die. In desperation, he didn't care so much. He found a few pieces of tissue that were barely usable from the pile on the side of the road and cleaned the woman's face. He also unbuttoned the top button of her shirt and wiped the bottom of her neckline. After doing all this, Qin Guang actually felt a little exhausted. Why was a drunkard so annoying? It was because of this. It was already 3 o'clock in the morning. There weren't many people on Guanghua Street. There weren't many cars either. The cold wind blew. Qin Guang's head was in a mess. The old man didn't know what to do. There's a pharmacy that's open all night? Forget it, I'll be a good person until the end. After locking the car, Qin Guang went to the pharmacy to buy some hangover medicine. He didn't earn any money, and the hangover medicine cost him 50 yuan. He took out a bottle of mineral water from the trunk and patted the woman's face. Get up. It's time for hangover medicine. The woman flipped over and muttered, Why should I? Why are you looking down on me? I must prove myself. I must. Prove your sister. Get up and take your medicine. The veins on Qin Guang's temples were bulging. He really wanted to strangle her. Chapter 34. But in the end he didn't strangle the woman to death. After forcing the hangover medicine down her throat, Qin Guang sat in the driver's seat, rolled down the window and helplessly played with his phone. There was nothing he could do. If the woman didn't wake up, he wouldn't be able to get out of the car. Qin Guang wasn't in the mood to send someone to a random hotel. If they were to go to a proper hotel, he might be arrested by the hotel staff if he carried her in like this. If they went to a hotel that didn't require an ID, Qin Guang wouldn't be at ease, but he couldn't just leave her on the side of the road and ignore her. Other than parking the car here and waiting for her to wake up on her own, what else could he do? Although it was almost the beginning of summer, it was already past 3 in the morning, and the wind outside was still chilly. Qin Guang was a little sleepy and wanted to sleep, so he simply rolled up the window halfway, put down the backrest and lay down. Before he closed his eyes, he turned around to look at the woman. She was still mumbling something and her beautiful eyes were tightly closed, which made her look a little quiet and cute. You're a good girl, why did you get so drunk for no reason? You're really lucky to meet a good person like me. After fiercely complaining, Qin Guang locked the car door, closed his eyes and went to sleep. Tang Ying couldn't remember how much she had drunk today, nor could she remember how she got home. She only knew that she had a fierce argument with the senior doctors in the hospital, slammed the table on the spot, and then walked out of the hospital in a huff. She aimlessly walked on the street for a long time, and finally she didn't know where she stopped. It seemed that she walked into a crowded bar. Then she sat at the bar and ordered one glass after another. During this time, people kept coming up to talk to her, but she didn't seem to care about any of them, just drinking to drown her sorrows. When she left the bar, she seemed to have stood on the side of the road and made an online order. Then, when the cold wind blew, the alcohol suddenly rushed to her head, and the drunkenness swept through her mind. She had no recollection of what happened next. But I should have returned home, right? After all, I've already sent the order. Strange, why was the bed so hard today? The dazed Tang Ying slowly opened her eyes. After about 10 seconds of daze, she lowered her head and touched her collar. Then she abruptly let out an ear-piercing scream. Ah, ah! Tang Ying's scream was like a long knife piercing the night sky, echoing in the empty street. The first victim was Qin Guang, who was sleeping soundly in the car. Not only was he woken up by the ear-piercing sound, but before he could open his eyes, he felt a big palm pressing on his face. Not only that, the big palm also grabbed him forcefully, and 2 fingers fiercely poked into his nostrils, almost tearing his nose off. How could Qin Guang not know that the woman had sobered up? If you want to sober up, then sober up. Is there a need to do this? Can't I be a good person or not? Glaring, he reached out and grabbed the woman's hand, forcefully pulling it forward to save his nostrils. Qin Guang straightened up from his seat and turned on the lights in the car. He glared at her and shouted in an even louder voice, "What are you doing? You're crazy." He was a good person to the end, but this woman was in such a state. Qin Guang didn't care that someone who had just sobered up was delirious, nor did he have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. I'm not even close to you. I've already done my best to save you. There's no need for me to kneel down and lick your boots like a dog, even if you're a beautiful woman. After being yelled at by Qin Guang, Tang Ying was stunned at first, but then she struggled with all her might to pull her hand back from Qin Guang's grasp. She was indeed a little flustered. When she suddenly woke up, she realized that she wasn't at home, but in a completely unfamiliar car. She touched her chest and realized that one of the buttons on her collar had been unbuttoned. A small portion of her breast was exposed, and there was a sticky feeling on her chest. With the brain circuit of a normal woman, of course she would feel that she had been molested. That was why she screamed uncontrollably. When she raised her head, she saw the unfamiliar face of Qin Guang, who had laid down the chair and was sleeping. Without any thoughts in her mind, she subconsciously reached out to grab him. This was also human nature. After being tossed around by Qin Guang, she calmed down a little after being yelled at. The first thought that popped into her mind was the frequent reports on the internet of a man raping a woman and then killing her to get rid of the evidence. Tang Ying's state of mind, coupled with the ferocious expression that Qin Guang subconsciously put on when he was in a bad mood, was really too scary. However, Tang Ying was after all a woman who had seen the world. As she quietly opened the locked car door, she turned her head to look out the window. She realized that she was in a very familiar place. It was on Guanghua Street, not far from her house. Although there were few people outside, the Skynet surveillance cameras were still glowing. She felt a little more at ease. She calculated that after she got out of the car, she only needed to run 300 to 400 meters to the side, turn into an alley next to the street, and then she would be able to rush to the entrance of her neighborhood. There were guards on duty all night there. You pervert. You'll get what you deserve. Don't you dare do anything stupid. There are surveillance cameras over there. I'm going to call the police. Tang Ying said as she quietly opened the car door. Qin Guang was so angry that he laughed. He pointed at his own face. Me? Pervert? I'll get what I deserve? Is there something wrong with your brain? Call the police? Why don't you call the police? You sent me the order, I dragged a drunkard like you here and you puked all over my car. I endured it all. I bought you hangover medicine, I cleaned up the mess, but I didn't King know where to send you. I parked the car here from 3 a.m. like an idiot, waiting for you to sober up. I waited for more than 2 hours. Look at what time it is now. It's 5 a.m. I'm King Saint. Now you're telling me that I'm a pervert? You want to call the police? Qin Guang was also furious. He spoke like a machine gun, spittle flying from his mouth all over Tang Ying's face. Tang Ying was stunned by his scolding. She subconsciously thought that perhaps what Qin Guang said was true. However, a gust of wind blew in from outside, blowing against her cold chest. She looked down and saw that her 2 fair breasts were still exposed. Well, everything that Qin Guang said just now was all nonsense. Tang Ying glared at Qin Guang as if she was looking at a bandit. She calmly buttoned up her unbuttoned shirt, opened the door, got out of the car and stood outside. She wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, she stood beside Qin Guang's driver's seat and looked at him as if she wanted to swallow him whole. It was as if she was trying to imprint his face deeply into her mind, afraid that she would forget about him later. Apart from that, she also waved her phone in front of Qin Guang as if to demonstrate her dominance. The number 110 was very eye-catching. Qin Guang was also speechless. Fine, do what you want. You think I'm a pervert who took advantage of you while you were drunk? It's fine. You can interpret it however you want. He really couldn't be bothered to tell this woman that if he hadn't saved her, she would probably have jumped off the roof of some unknown hotel. Treating my good intentions as malicious intent, this woman must be sick in the head. Chapter 35. Tang Ying was also someone with a temper. After all, she had studied abroad and she had seen the world. Thus, she wasn't as bashful as other women. She glared at Qin Guang and continued, "I'll go and have my body examined later. You better pray that you didn't do anything to me, or you can spend the rest of your life in prison." As she spoke, she did not let her guard down. On the contrary, she took a step back and was prepared to run at any moment. She was also afraid that Qin Guang would be driven into a corner, but this man might be the one who took her first time. So there's no way that Tang Ying would leave just because of fear. At least she had to remember his face so that she could bring the police to arrest him. Yeah, not bad. Come. Look at my face clearly. I won't run. Oh, you better go to the front and take a picture of my license plate number. I'm afraid you might forget it. Also, I'll tell you that I'm a third-year student at Gokyo University's Jinhuan Faculty of Environmental Science. That's good enough, right? Just in case you can't find me. I'll wait for you to call the police to arrest me. If you don't do anything wrong, you won't be afraid of ghosts knocking at your door in the middle of the night. Anyway, I didn't really do anything to you. You really don't know, or are you pretending not to know? Fine, you might say that I didn't do it with real weapons and used my hands to take advantage of you. If you want to sue me for molesting a woman, fine, go ahead. I'll be waiting. Qin Guang said as he adjusted the back of the driver's seat. He was about to leave. Tang Ying actually ran to the front of the car and took a picture of Qin Guang's license plate number. Qin Guang was furious anyway, so he said, "Come on, if taking a picture of the license plate number isn't enough, take a picture of my face too. You take one too." Tang Ying really took a picture. Qin Guang raised his right hand subconsciously and made a V sign. Qin Guang's momentum suddenly disappeared. He thought to himself, what kind of illness is this? I'll treat it later. Alright, I've taken a picture of the license plate number and your face. I'm leaving. Go back and think about it. Look at the online order you sent. I'm the driver who took the order. You're lucky to have met me this time, but not everyone is as kind as me. If you like to drink and humiliate yourself, then go ahead and humiliate yourself. But next time you won't be so lucky to meet me. Goodbye. After saying this, Qin Guang started the car and left. He didn't dare to look at this woman again. He was really afraid that he wouldn't be able to control his temper and get out of the car to slap her. When Qin Guang's car was far away, Tang Ying stomped her feet angrily. Although she was still a little tipsy, she had no problem standing up and walking. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, she saw a package on the side of the road. She bent down to pick it up and was stunned. It was really a hangover medicine. He held the box and tried to walk a few steps. His lower body did not feel any discomfort. If it was a woman who had a lot of experience in that area, she might not feel anything when that kind of thing happened, but she was a real virgin. Did he really not do anything? She picked up her phone and opened the online order. The information of the order was clearly written on it. Silver Hyundai Rena, license plate number Sichuan AXXXX. Compared to the license plate number she had just taken, it was exactly the same. Tang Ying's mouth opened wide and formed an O shape. Her face suddenly turned red. I've wronged a good person. I'm so stupid. Tang Ying was stunned for a moment. She took a deep breath and raised her head. She stared blankly at the empty road. The car was long gone. She regretted it so much that she wanted to slap herself. She raised her hand for a moment, but in the end she didn't have the courage to do so and slowly put it down. This was the biggest awkwardness in the world. The other party was indeed her great benefactor. It was not an exaggeration to thank him 1,000 times. But she, Tang Ying, felt extremely embarrassed. She could imagine the other party's indignation when he felt that he had been bitten by a dog. No wonder he was so angry just now. What should I do? He's already gone. Why am I such a terrible person? He must hate me to death, right? Tang Ying's guess was right. On the other side, Qin Guang was panting with rage as he drove. He had parked the car by the roadside for so long. If he had continued with his sports car, he could have done at least dozens of kilometers in 2 hours. Alright, I even gave him a 50 yuan hangover medicine for free. As he drove, his phone rang. It was a familiar number. That's right. It's that crazy woman's number. Aha, now you know you're wrong, right? Ashamed, right? Regretful, right? You know you've wronged a good person, right? You want to apologize and thank me, right? Dream on. If apologies were useful, why would we need the police? Qin Guang decisively hung up the phone. He didn't want to have anything to do with that woman anymore. As for how ashamed she was, Qin Guang didn't care. You made me unhappy, so I want you to live in shame. Even if you're unhappy for a day or two, it's worth it. That's right. I'm stingy and not magnanimous. Qin Guang's mood instantly became better. He whistled and turned on the music on his left and right hand. Listening to the melodious singing of Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage, he drove back to school. After the call was cut off, Tang Ying unwillingly dialed another number, but it was still hung up without hesitation. He must be furious. Otherwise he wouldn't have ignored my call. Really, how can a man be so stingy? Tang Ying's heart was filled with mixed feelings. She felt awkward, ashamed, helpless, and a little angry. You're a man, can you not be so calculative with a little girl like me? You didn't even give me a chance to apologize. Wait, he said he was a student of Gokyo University? Fine, you're still a student, so you have the right to be a little willful. Forget it, I'll try to contact him after he calms down. He's actually a good person. A good person, even if he exploded in anger, he'll definitely forgive me later, right? With this thought in mind, Tang Ying walked into the apartment elevator. For students of Gokyo University, there were no classes the next day and there was no electricity at night. It was like a carnival on a weekend. Qin Guang returned to school around 6 in the morning. Even at this time, the dorm room was still lit. The sound of keyboard and mouse tapping came from inside. This group of scumbags had actually been playing games all night and hadn't slept yet. Qin Guang pushed the door open and deliberately looked straight ahead. He didn't dare to look at the three's computer screens. They must be playing Dota 2. This game was toxic, and he was afraid that his stomach wouldn't be able to handle it if he watched too much. Unexpectedly, the three people's frantic keystrokes and mice stopped abruptly the moment he entered the door. The three turned their heads and looked at Qin Guang for about 5 seconds. The previously bustling dorm room suddenly became so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. There's something wrong with this guy's gaze. Something's wrong. Qin Guang jumped back. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Do you want to eat me? Brother Guang, look. Dang 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 dang. Bai Fan was the first to jump up from his chair. He formed 2 fingers into a sword and pointed it at the ceiling. He didn't even care about the game that was halfway through. Following the grandson's finger, Qin Guang turned his head and saw his dried underwear hanging on a drying rack, fluttering in the wind. The finger-sized hole was facing Qin Guang's direction. It swayed back and forth as if mocking his desolation and desolation. Next to the underwear, there was another drying rack, and underneath it was a color-printed picture clipped in a folder. This color-printed picture was an enlarged close-up of the underwear Superman's buttocks that had been reported on the internet. Whether it was the pattern of the underwear, the style, or even the location and size of the hole, it was a perfect match. Damn it. Qin Guang would never have dreamed that these 3 people would be this despicable. These 3 grandsons had hung these 2 items together in order to completely choke off any chance for him to quibble. The old man was speechless. Chapter 36. The 3 of them let go of the outcome of the game and stood up together. Bear 2 was responsible for bringing up the rear and closing the door. Lin Jingwei was responsible for restraining Qin Guang. He came from the side with an obscene smile and grabbed Qin Guang's shoulder, not giving him a chance to escape. Bai Fan, on the other hand, was in charge of interrogating Qin Guang. He took down the underwear and photo that were hanging on the drying pole in the dormitory. Grabbing one in each hand, he walked over to Qin Guang. Brother Guang, why don't you quibble again? Fortunately, this guy didn't use his nose to smell the underwear. Otherwise, Qin Guang would definitely hang him out of the window. Brother Guang, just admit it. Who asked you to accidentally hang your underwear outside? If we didn't compare it, we wouldn't be able to make a conclusion. But now that it's like this, do you still want to deny it? Lin Jingwei laughed and tightened his grip on the underwear. In the face of this inhumane underwear interrogation, what could Qin Guang say? Xiong Jinka, who was behind him, had already started to take off his clothes. Obviously, this group of scumbags wanted to compare their body size so that Qin Guang would have no reason to quibble. Okay. I'll admit it, okay? Let go. Let go of me. Chen Guang struggled and broke free from Xiong Jinka, who was as strong as an ox. He then rushed forward and grabbed the hanger of his underwear from Bai Fan's hand and threw it on the bed. I really have to give it to you guys. It's just a small matter. Is there a need to get so many people involved? That's right, I saved them. And then? Oh my God. It's really you? Brother, the report said that you performed CPR and CPR on our idol's left and right hand goddesses. How did it feel? Can you tell us about it? Oh my God. Xiong Jinka held his head and pretended to be in extreme pain. If it weren't for the fact that it was past 6 o'clock in the morning and he was afraid that his loud roar would wake up the sleeping students in the next room, he would have yelled out loud. Lin Jingwei's eyes flashed with a soul-stirring light. This fellow had completely lost his usual steadiness. He hugged Chen Guang's shoulders with both hands. Brother. My dear brother, you are my idol. Tell me, what does it feel like? Do you know what Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's family situation is like? You actually dare? Forget it, I'm convinced, I'm really convinced. Bai Fan, on the other hand, had already started to jump up and down. He pulled out a ham sausage from somewhere and disguised it as a microphone. He then handed it to Chen Guang. Next, our reporter will interview our underwear Superman. Did you have any wild thoughts when you were giving emergency treatment to the 2 female celebrities? Aren't the breasts of Jin Jiang's 2 young girls bouncy? Are their lips soft? Are their lips sweet or sour? Pfft. You bunch of scum. Am I that despicable? Chen Guang thought that he could escape by saying it out, but he didn't expect this group of scum to get even more excited. It wasn't until the next room finally couldn't stand the disturbance anymore and slammed the door in protest that the other 3 finally stopped. It's enough that you guys know about this. Don't spread it around. You didn't get any benefits but a bunch of trouble. The 3 of you are like this. If the diehard fans in school find out, they will run to the dormitory all day long and block the door. I won't be able to study anymore. The 3 of you better keep your mouths shut. Chen Guang said very seriously after the 3 of them settled down. He really wasn't joking. With Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage's popularity, they could pull out a diehard fan club in school with no less than 1,000 people. Thinking about that scene, it was really too scary. Although the 3 of them were jealous and envious, they knew that Chen Guang's words were reasonable. They all said that they would keep their mouths shut and definitely wouldn't leak anything. After that, Chen Guang took out the shiny golden armor that was hidden in the closet and gave it to the 3 of them to play with. He also told them that the director of the production team would ask him to go for an audition to see if he could play a small role in the movie to thank him for saving their lives. At the same time, he also explained why he had been thinking about how to be an actor these few days. Only then did the matter completely come to an end. At this time he was also very sleepy. He promised the 3 of them that he would call the 3 of them to see the world when they went for the audition. Only then did the few animals let go of Chen Guang and let him go to bed in peace. The next day Chen Guang slept like a log. He didn't get up until noon. The 3 animals were even worse than him. When he got up, his snores were still rising and falling. Obviously, after Chen Guang went to sleep, the 3 of them were excited for a long time. Perhaps they were excited about the opportunity to sneak into the production team and have close contact with the stars. When he went out, he transferred 40,000 out of the 50,000 he had received a few days ago to his father. After a long explanation, Chen Guang went to eat alone. Today was the weekend, so the pedestrian street at school was not as busy as before. However, there were still people coming and going. Ever since the accident at home, Chen Guang had been eating in the cafeteria for a long time. However, he had made a small fortune in the past 2 days. He still had 10,000 in his pocket, so he wanted to reward himself. He went to the fried food restaurant on the pedestrian street and ordered a meat, a vegetable, and a soup. He sat down happily and began to eat. Before he was halfway through, he met a few girls from his class who came to pick him up. Sun Xiaoxuan was walking at the front. The girls also saw Chen Guang with a few plates in front of him, but they didn't rush over. Instead, they whispered to each other. Chen Guang smiled and waved at them as a greeting. Mr. Class Rep, your Chen Guang is over there. There's a seat right next to him. Hurry up and go. That's right. Hurry up. I think someone is eyeing the seat next to Chen Guang. If you don't hurry up, there won't be any more seats left. Don't worry about us. We can take care of ourselves. Hurry up and pursue your happiness. Sun Xiaoxuan's face turned red from the words of these people. What do you mean, my Chen Guang? Don't talk nonsense, okay? There's nothing going on between me and Chen Guang. There's nothing going on. A girl imitated Sun Xiaoxuan's uncertain tone and said in a weird tone, which made everyone laugh again. The girls laughed for a while. Sun Xiaoxuan was pushed and shoved by the other girls for a while, but in the end she still moved toward Qin Guang with a red face. Halfway there, Sun Xiaoxuan turned around and glared at the girls who forcefully pushed her out. However, she still continued to walk towards Qin Guang. This sweet girl didn't mean what she said. Did you come out to eat by yourself? Where are the three of them? Sun Xiaoxuan sat down next to Qin Guang. With a smile, Qin Guang replied, the three of them are still sleeping like dead pigs on the bed. By the way, class rep, I still don't know what sports event you're participating in. Sun Xiaoxuan put her hands on her knees, intertwined her fingers and rubbed them shyly. I signed up for the women's 100-meter sprint. I actually practiced gymnastics before, but there's no gymnastics event in the school sports. Chapter 37. Don't you need to wear very little to practice gymnastics? Qin Guang looked at Sun Xiaoxuan who was beside him. She was petite and didn't have a trace of fat on her body. She was really a good candidate for gymnastics. Of course, he was actually joking and teasing Sun Xiaoxuan. Sun Xiaoxuan's little face turned red and she shook her head like a rattled drum. No way. I used to wear training clothes that covered my whole body when I trained, so I wasn't exposed at all. I'm just joking. Look at how scared you are. Okay, I know you are shy, so I won't talk about gymnastics anymore. Anyway, do your best in sprinting. Qin Guang encouraged her. He remembered that on the way to the internet cafe with Wenwen yesterday, she seemed to have said that she also signed up for the 100-meter sprint. Thinking about it carefully, Sun Xiaoxuan was really pitiful. He hoped that she wouldn't meet Wenwen in the preliminaries. It would be best if Sun Xiaoxuan didn't enter the finals. With Miss Wen's monstrous physical strength, no matter who competed with her, they would not have a good ending. Well, do your best in swimming. If you don't enter the finals, I will. Sun Xiaoxuan stopped halfway through her sentence. Qin Guang stuffed a piece of meat into his mouth and said vaguely, You will what? Oh, nothing. Sun Xiaoxuan stood up awkwardly and walked to the table where the other girls were sitting. Anyway, you must do your best. They have ordered, so I will go over now. Sun Xiaoxuan sat over there. Qin Guang scratched his head and thought, why is she acting so weird today? Didn't I say that participation in all the events is the most important thing? Why did she suddenly come over to ask me to do my best? She also looks like she wants to say something but is hesitant. Forget it. If she knows that I am the underwear Superman who saved Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage, I am afraid that her confidence in me will explode. Qin Guang almost slapped himself. Oh no, why did I call myself the underwear Superman? Could it be that deep in my heart I've already tacitly accepted that scary nickname? Oh, so terrible, so terrible. Quickly eat this thought. After eating a few mouthfuls of rice, Qin Guang got up and said goodbye to the girls, then hurried away. After Qin Guang left, one of the girls asked Sun Xiaoxuan, aren't you going to tell him about your bet with Pan Jiang? Sun Xiaoxuan shook his head. No, I don't want to give him too much pressure. Besides, it's useless even if I say it, right? I heard that Pan Jiang treated a few members of the school's swimming team to dinner last night. When they came back, they had their arms around each other's shoulders. I suspect that Pan Jiang is plotting something, said a well-informed girl. Sun Xiaoxuan's heart tightened, but he said, it's fine, it's fine. It doesn't matter if we lose. It's not like I'll die if I have a meal with Pan Jiang. At most, you guys can come with me. Eat him until he's poor. You are just being nice. Pan Jiang is not a good person. You must be careful. The girls' eyes were sparkling. Qin Guang and Pan Jiang were different in the eyes of the girls in the class. If not, those girls would not push Sun Xiaoxuan to Qin Guang. Of course, everyone knew that the class president had feelings for Qin Guang. But it was a pity that Sun Xiaoxuan had a thin face, while Qin Guang was a blockhead. They're about to graduate, but there's still no movement from them. No one noticed that Pan Jiang, who happened to pass by the second floor opposite the pedestrian walkway, saw Sun Xiaoxuan sitting beside Qin Guang. Pan Jiang was so jealous when he saw Sun Xiaoxuan's shy look. I did not want to do that. Class president, you forced me to do this. Pan Jiang's eyes were flashing dangerously. He seems to have made a big decision. Dong Xuebing took out his phone and called the swimmer from the architecture faculty. Brother Dong, how is it going? Are the groups for the preliminaries ready? Pan Jiang asked. Dong Xuebing replied over the phone. Don't worry, Pan Jiang. No matter which group we are going to be in, we will still be in the finals. Aside from me, the other two juniors that are only weaker than me will be in my group. I guarantee that we'll be able to annihilate that Qin Guang you're talking about. There are only 3 spots in each group. If the 3 of us are in that group, the rest will not stand a chance. But you have to remember what you said. After this is done, you have to prepare 6,000 yuan for me. I almost spat all over the coach's face because of your under-the-table operation. Pan Jiang laughed. Brother Dong, I am relieved to hear you say this. If this is settled, you will get a lot of benefits. If there is a chance, let's go karaoke together. I know there is a good karaoke venue in the city center. You can invite those 2 students and have fun together. That will be great. When you are free, come and watch us live. We will show you what it means to crush them. Brother Dong is the swimmer from the architecture faculty. Pan Jiang had asked him to help him with this small matter, and he will get lots of benefits. That's why he agreed immediately. To Dong Xuebing, this is too easy. Swimming is a competition of strength. If you are fast, you will be fast. If you are slow, you will be slow. Unlike other sports that competed on speed, there were very few coincidences in swimming. What mattered was the absolute difference in strength. The strong and the weak were clearly distinguished. Even if there was only a slight difference, it would be extremely difficult for the weak to counterattack. That was why in the Olympic Games, there would often be dominating athletes sweeping away several gold medals. For example, in the past, Thorpe and Phelps dominated almost all the competitions when they were at their peak. Without long-term professional training, ordinary people will never be able to compete with professional swimmers. That's why Brother Dong is so confident and dares to pull the other 2 swimmers from the school's swimming team into the same group as him and Qin Guang. But Qin Guang does not care about what Pan Jiang did or what Sun Xiaoxuan is worried about. What really makes him restless is another matter. There were still 6 days until the start of the sports meet. During those 5 days, Qin Guang was on tenterhooks with every step he took. Especially when he went to the toilet, he was even more nervous, as if he was walking on thin ice. Relax. Relax. Don't think that you are taking a dump. That's right. I'm acting in a movie. I am reading books. I am learning how to do business. I want to learn how to make money. I want to act in a movie. I am really not thinking about how to take a dump. That's right. This is what Dong Xuebing is afraid of. Qin Guang has deeply understood how unreasonable the Heavenly Holy Grail and the Emperor of the Azure are. The trigger condition for the world in a cup is exactly what he was thinking about. The last time was when he was playing Dota 2. Although he had trained to become the strongest player in the world, it was useless. At least there was no harm in it. Qin Guang is afraid that if he is thinking about taking a dump, sleeping in, masturbating, and so on, the test of the world in a cup appears. That would be a disaster like the end of the world. Therefore, when Qin Guang deeply understood the danger, he decided to be a positive, optimistic, and healthy person from today onwards. From the moment he opened his eyes every morning, he would hold a book called Misleading the Students. No, it should be a book that uses simple and easy to understand language to explain the profound principles of business. It is called Chicken Soup for the Soul or simply Soup. He read it with relish. When he arrived at the classroom, Qin Guang changed from his usual behavior of fishing for 3 days and sifting nets for 2 days. He was especially serious when he listened to the lecture, nearly blinding the eyes of his 3 roommates. It was so much so that Qin Guang even took out the foundation of film and television performance after class. Although he knew that it was useless, he couldn't think of anything more meaningful. After returning to the dormitory, Qin Guang also focused on the 3 important things in life. When he is tired, he will go out for a race car and take a short break. He kept himself in these 4 states. Then, when the realm in the cup appeared again, the best outcome would be to force the Holy Grail to give him a difficult business training, or a proper bookworm training. At the very least, he would be able to teach him the basics of acting, or at the very least, he would be able to train him to be a racing god. Anything is fine, just don't give me those weird tests. The old man can't take it anymore. No, next time I must ask the Emperor of the Azure clearly. No matter what, I have to get her to give me some specific hints before it appears. Otherwise it will be too torturous. For example, if I know in advance that the world in a cup is coming, I can drag someone out to fight. That way, when the world in a cup appears, I can be sent to some combat training ground and become a boxing champion in minutes. Just thinking about it makes me feel good. Qin Guang secretly gritted his teeth. He is really afraid that he can't take it anymore. Under such intense and painful psychological torture, time flew. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the school sports competition to officially start. Chapter 38. Sure enough, everyone in Qin Guang's class signed up for the sports meet. The news spread throughout the school before the sports meet officially started. Even the leaders of the school attached great importance to it. After confirming that everyone in the class signed up for the sports meet voluntarily, the new counselor, Zhuo Jingxi, got the commendation she wanted. The whole class also got the title of Outstanding Group of the Year. Zhuo Jingxi was overjoyed. She thought to herself that she had finally taken the first step to becoming an outstanding administrator in the school. She then announced to the class that after the sports meet, she would bring the whole class out for a feast. The whole class cheered again. Well, Qin Guang didn't care about all this. He was standing awkwardly in a corner of the swimming pool. Because everyone in the class signed up for their own events, many of them had competitions at the same time. Bai Fan and the other two bastards were not in the swimming pool. Only Qin Guang was left alone in the swimming pool. If he was really all alone, he wouldn't have felt so embarrassed. But for some reason, Sun Xiaoxuan had brought a few girls with him. The track and field event was tomorrow, and Sun Xiaoxuan and the others had nothing to do today. But why are you all here to see me? It's already embarrassing to wear such tight swimming trunks. If there are no acquaintances, I can just close my eyes and pretend that no one saw me. But your eyes are wide open like they want to swallow me. It's like a bayonet trying to cut off my flesh. The old man was very embarrassed. At this moment, a few people walked in from outside. They looked around at the entrance of the swimming pool for a while, and then went straight to Sun Xiaoxuan and the others. It was Pan Jiang. He had just led a few members of the basketball team to easily sweep their opponents in the qualifiers, and then he rushed over here. Although Pan Jiang didn't want to admit it, he knew that Sun Xiaoxuan would definitely come to the swimming pool to watch Qin Guang's competition. Therefore, Pan Jiang decided to keep an eye on Qin Guang. Not only that, but he will also stand beside Sun Xiaoxuan. After Qin Guang is tricked by Brother Dong and the other two, Pan Jiang will humiliate Qin Guang in front of Sun Xiaoxuan so that Qin Guang won't have the qualifications to be arrogant in the future. The most important thing was to settle the dinner with Sun Xiaoxuan on the spot. That's right, 2 days ago, Pan Jiang had already booked a private room at the Elegant Pavilion, the most high-end private restaurant outside the school. In this Qingya Pavilion, a simple meal for 2 or 3 people would cost at least a few thousand yuan. Seats had to be booked in advance. If they were late, even if they had the money, they wouldn't be able to get a seat. For the sake of this meal, Pan Jiang could be said to have spared no expense. The total expenses had already exceeded 10,000 yuan. Class monitor, you guys are here too? Just now, our basketball team swept the opponents 83-46. Class president, you should also commend us. You only have Qin Guang in your eyes and it makes us feel very disappointed. Pan Jiang walked to the side of Sun Xiaoxuan and the other girls and pretended to meet them by chance. He smiled sourly and tried to get close to them. Sun Xiaoxuan and the other girls moved aside to keep a distance from Pan Jiang. Then Sun Xiaoxuan said, "Then I'll congratulate you guys first. I hope our basketball team can continue to work hard and achieve good results. Go for it." Sun Xiaoxuan's words were very polite, but Pan Jiang was already mentally prepared. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he stood at the side with a smile and looked at the direction of the swimming pool. His expression was full of pride. Just now, he had already made eye contact with the athletic student from the architecture department. The athletic student gave him a victory sign. On the other side, Qin Guang was preparing to take off his jacket to warm up. When he looked up and saw Pan Jiang, he frowned slightly. What is this bastard doing here? At this time, Qin Guang turned his gaze and saw Pan Jiang giving him a look. Following Pan Jiang's gaze, Qin Guang looked to the side and found that in another direction, there were 3 people gathered together to warm up. Unlike the other contestants, these 3 people's warm-up movements were exactly the same. They looked very professional. In addition, the 3 people's muscle lines were completely different from ordinary swimming enthusiasts. Qin Guang's eyebrows tightened. The ratio of the 3 people's arm spans to their height was obviously much larger than ordinary people. Their body shapes were definitely not something that ordinary sports enthusiasts could train. Combined with their warm-up movements, the identity of the 3 people was obvious. They were definitely semi-professional athletes in the school's swimming team, especially the tallest person among them. His arm span was far longer than ordinary people, and the muscles on his back were unusually strong. As he raised his arms, the obvious muscle fiber lines on the back of his waist could be seen. Is there a ghost? Qin Guang wasn't stupid. Pan Jiang wouldn't give these 3 people a wink for no reason. There must be a trap here. At this time, the swimming pool's broadcast began to announce the number of Qin Guang's group, reminding them to warm up and prepare for the competition. As expected, after the 3 people heard the broadcast, they all took a step forward to the waiting area to continue warming up. As Qin Guang walked to the waiting area, he glanced in Pan Jiang's direction again. This guy was staring at him. Their eyes met and Pan Jiang finally tore off his disguise. He grinned sinisterly and proudly raised his eyebrows at Qin Guang. Qin Guang sneered. This is interesting. He used his connections to arrange these three majors into the same group as me. Does he want me to fail the preliminaries? Qin Guang looked to the side again. Sun Xiaoxuan was looking at him with a worried face. Thinking of the day when Sun Xiaoxuan wanted to say something, Qin Guang subconsciously felt that this matter wasn't that simple. It was most likely related to Sun Xiaoxuan. Hey, you're Qin Guang from the Environmental Science Department, right? Just as Qin Guang was about to take off his jacket, the strongest player suddenly said to him. Qin Guang had already guessed that he was related to Pan Jiang, so he wasn't surprised to be called by his name. He just glanced at him casually. I'm Qin Guang. Which Gardala did you jump out from? That person was obviously a hot-tempered person. He was angry. Qin Guang went tit for tat. Is there something wrong with your brain? I don't know you at all. Don't talk back and forth. Let me give you a piece of advice. Be careful of your mouth. Qin Guang had always been like this. If others respected him, he would respect them tenfold. This bastard had obviously received benefits from Pan Jiang and brought two other semi-professional players to mess with him. It would be strange if he had a good attitude. The other two players were about to approach Qin Guang. Qin Guang was amused. Come. Do you want to fight? I'll keep you company. My hands are itching. Come back. The strongest player from the school team said heavily from behind, don't be fooled by him. After all, the three of us are on the school team. If we fight with him in this kind of trash competition, we'll all be disqualified. It'll be a big loss. Qin Guang, I'll let you drag us around for a while. True ability doesn't come from words. Later in the competition, I hope you don't get tricked by us twice. Otherwise you'll be embarrassed. Qin Guang curled his lips. Did I care about you guys? Are you really stupid or are you pretending to be? Didn't you pick a fight with me first? Aren't you bored? When it came to fighting, Qin Guang was not afraid of them. When it came to talking, Qin Guang beat the three of them. The three of them wanted to provoke Qin Guang before the competition and humiliate him. Instead, they were asking to be humiliated. I can't be bothered with you guys. Without waiting for them to speak again, Qin Guang said. He took off his jacket and began to warm up. The three of them were also angry. However, Qin Guang had already made it clear that he did not want to talk to them. It was not good for them to continue pestering him. They could only secretly swear that they would teach him a lesson later. Although there were not many people in the swimming pool, there were still thousands of people in the swimming pool. Originally, Qin Guang was not used to wearing swimming trunks in front of so many people. However, after being provoked by the three of them, the anger in his heart rose. Since you guys were called by Pan Jiang to pick a fight, I'll teach you guys a lesson later. With this thought in mind, he took off his clothes quickly. When Qin Guang tossed his sportswear and pants to the back, a series of gasps resounded from the spectator stands. Especially the three school swimming teams, they were all dumbfounded. Was this guy pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Chapter 39. Qin Guang wasn't bothered by those three's gazes, but everyone was looking at him as if they were looking at a gorilla in the zoo. Qin Guang couldn't help panicking and immediately lowered his head to take a look. It scared him to death. He even thought that there was a hole in his swimming trunks. Fine, although this man looks pretty big, his swimming trunks are already so tight. Don't make a fuss, okay? Qin Guang didn't have the habit of looking at himself in the mirror. Although he knew that he had trained his body in the transient sea and that his muscles were like boards, he didn't really know what his body was like right now. It was said that the onlookers see the game more clearly than the players. When Qin Guang took off his clothes and revealed his perfect body, the crowd and the other contestants were all shocked. Unlike the swimmers from the other three schools, the three of them might be well developed, but they were more slender than ordinary swimmers. The muscles on their arms and back weren't too obvious. On the other hand, Qin Guang's muscles were intertwined with each other, forming a near-perfect sculpture. Regardless of which angle he looked at it from, it was filled with explosive power. Yet, when combined together, it wasn't bloated at all, making him look like a statue of David. In the words of a certain host, there was only one word to describe it: perfect. Oh my God. I've been in the same class as Qin Guang for 4 years. I didn't expect him to have such a good body. Even the martial arts stars on TV don't have a body like his, right? He's like a model. Class president, if you don't make your move, I'm going to be tempted. Sun Xiaoxuan's girlfriends couldn't hold back anymore. Sun Xiaoxuan was even more embarrassed. Her eyeballs were about to pierce into Qin Guang's body, and her breathing became rapid. Being teased by her girlfriends, she blushed and said shyly, Don't talk nonsense. She couldn't even speak fluently. Damn it, this is a swimming competition, not a bodybuilding competition. Having a good body doesn't mean you can swim fast. The athletic athlete of the architecture department secretly gritted his teeth, but he did not dare to provoke him again. Obviously, Qin Guang was not a soft persimmon. He had a hot temper and seemed to be able to fight. If they really fought, even if they had 3 people on their side, they might not be able to gain much of an advantage. Now the 13th group, please get ready. The first one is student Qin Guang from the School of Architecture and Environment. The second one is student Dong Tao from the School of Architecture and Environment. The third one is. The broadcast in the swimming hall began to read the names of the contestants in Qin Guang's group one by one. At first, the onlookers didn't think there was anything wrong, but when the 8 names were read, someone found something wrong. Those who were more familiar with the school's swimming team immediately made a ruckus. What the hell? 3 members of the school team in one group? Can't you let other people play? Exactly. There are only 3 places in the preliminary. 3 of them are in the same group. Isn't that too much? What about the others? At first, this topic was only spread in a small circle, but the students were the most active group. Seeing the lively discussion, the people next to them naturally asked what was going on. It didn't take long for the thousands of people present to know that something was wrong. For a moment, the huge swimming hall was buzzing with discussions. The crowd from time to time gave the other contestants who were about to step on the stage with deep sympathy. Even Qin Guang, who had a good body and caused a commotion, was not spared. After all, swimming and bodybuilding were not the same events. Only the other 4 innocent, ordinary contestants in Qin Guang's group knew nothing. They just felt uncomfortable being pointed at by the people in the stands. Panjiang, you did this, right? In the corner of the stands, Sun Xiaoxuan was already glaring at Panjiang angrily. No wonder you bet with me that Qin Guang couldn't pass the preliminary. I really didn't expect. Hey, don't be like that. Panjiang pretended to be innocent. You can't blame it on me. Their groupings were decided by drawing lots, so what ability do I have to put the 3 of them in the same group as Qin Guang? Isn't this a coincidence? Xiaoxuan, let's ignore him. Even if Qin Guang was put in the same group as the 3 school teams, it's not like he's going to lose. Qin Guang's body is much better than those 3. I like Qin Guang. Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend next to her began to be infatuated. Sun Xiaoxuan actually didn't know much about swimming, but since Panjiang refused to admit it, she had no choice but to choose to believe in Qin Guang. Panjiang cursed in his mind, You guys know nothing. What's the use of having a good body? Just wait and see Qin Guang get lapped. Panjiang leaned against the fence of the stands and looked at Qin Guang with disdain. He didn't think the 3 school teams would lose at all. At that moment, the person who was the most furious was the head coach of the school swimming team. Although he didn't have much hope in finding some good seedlings in the school sports, the head coach still came. Finding new seedlings was one thing, and checking the condition of the swimmers on the team was another. As the head coach of the swimming team, he was in charge of organizing teams for the school sports day, but he didn't handle it himself. Instead, he let his assistant handle it. He didn't know that the 3 members of his team had been grouped into one group. What are these people doing? Even if you guys want to compete with each other, you should compete in the finals. What will the other students think if you guys are in the same group? The head coach walked up to the 3 school teams angrily and stared at them deeply. What's going on? You guys better tell me. Dong Tao, you tell me. The head coach targeted the athlete who got the certificate. Coach, it's really a coincidence. We went to ask later, but the groups were already like this, so we couldn't just change them. Actually, it's not that bad. We're the ones competing in the finals anyway, so it's fine. Although the head coach had a lot of authority on the swimming team, Dong Tao was considered half a national athlete now, so he wasn't afraid of him. But the 3 of you took up all the spots in the preliminary group, so it's not good. The head coach couldn't do anything to Dong Tao. We were all in the same group by drawing lots, so there's nothing bad about it. We are all school teams, so it's normal for us to win. Plus, even if the normal students can make it to the semi-finals, they're just there to keep the prince company. It's not a big deal, Dong Tao said with a smile. Forget it. I hope the 3 of you can make the swimming team proud, or at least show an absolute lead. Otherwise, people will look down on the swimming team. The head coach knew that there was nothing he could do to change the situation, so he could only give the order. Coach, don't worry. We promise we'll be at least 100 meters ahead of the fourth-place finisher. We'll make them speechless. Another boy from the school team laughed. Dong Tao nodded. That's right. We'll show them the difference between professionals and amateurs. Pfft. Qin Guang couldn't help but laugh when he heard what they said. Chapter 40. What are you laughing at? Dong Tao was annoyed. Qin Guang moved his body a little to stretch his ligaments. He stepped onto the diving platform and said, Nothing. I just think you guys are very interesting. Who is this student? The coach of the school team had noticed Qin Guang a long time ago. Although he also felt that this student had the physique of an athlete, his point of view was obviously the same as Dong Tao and the other two. Swimming was not only about the physique. Me. I'm just a nobody. Coach, don't mind me. You have 3 good students, Qin Guang said meaningfully. The coach didn't quite understand what he meant. He turned around and looked at Dong Tao and the others who were about to step onto the diving platform. Coach, don't mind him. He's just a clown. We'll teach him to be a good person. Of course, in the competition. Dong Tao was guilty, so he couldn't say too much. However, he couldn't admit defeat to Qin Guang. The coach was stunned. He felt that there was a strong smell of gunpowder in the air. When he turned around to look at Qin Guang had already ignored Dong Tao and the others. He was ready to jump. Aha, look at his posture. It's not right at all. He's an amateur. Dong Tao said with a smile. Indeed, compared with the postures of Dong Tao and the other two, the postures of the other 5, including Qin Guang, were not very professional. Qin Guang stared at the front of the lane without blinking. His face was expressionless, but he was a little angry inside. You guys can jump all you want now, but I'll give you a big surprise when you get into the water. If Dong Tao knew that because of his provocation, Qin Guang, who originally planned to swim casually, decided to go all out, he would probably regret it. However, he didn't know how serious the consequences would be. On the contrary, he had already begun to imagine the scene of him sneering at the reckless Qin Guang after he reached the finish line. Dong Tao was not the only one who didn't think highly of Qin Guang. In fact, among the thousands of people in the swimming complex, none of them thought highly of Qin Guang. Even Sun Xiaoxuan, who had inexplicable confidence in Qin Guang, was clenching his fists nervously. He looked at Qin Guang, who had already arched his body on the platform, and prayed inwardly, no matter what, Qin Guang, don't lose too badly. Class leader, you have to remember what we agreed on. Pan Jiang knew he was being disliked, but he didn't care. All he wanted was to bring Sun Xiaoxuan to the elegant pavilion's dining table. Needless to say, the ordinary audience members were all sighing for the pitiful young Qin Guang. On the other hand, there were many female audience members who were interested in Qin Guang because of his perfect figure, and they secretly felt indignant for him. The people from the school team are too much. They put 3 people in the same group as the handsome bodybuilder. Isn't this bullying? That's right. But even if the handsome bodybuilder loses, I will still be his fan. His figure is first class. By the way, I heard that he is level 17 from the Building Loop Academy? Should we go back and look for him? Yes. He met 3 school teams in a swimming competition. He must be in a bad mood after losing. Maybe we can take advantage of this? Not us. It's me. It's me. You are really shameless. Haha, you are not any better. Regardless of what others thought at this time, Qin Guang was already staring at the front, waiting for the starting gun to sound. Finally, as the referee pulled the trigger, the 8 people on the swimming lane fiercely jumped into the swimming pool. After all, Dong Tao and the other 2 people had gone through many years of training. The sound of the starting gun had almost become a conditioned reflex. From their jumping speed, it could be seen that the 3 of them were indeed a lot stronger than the others. Only Qin Guang's jumping speed was slightly slower than the 3 of them. The other 4 people were even worse. Dong Tao and the other 2 people's palms were already pressed on the surface of the water. When Qin Guang's body was in the air, the 3 of them were barely able to jump up from the diving platform. Qin Guang swam in the transient sea. As for the posture of entering the water, he had never practiced it before. In the 400-meter freestyle, which was a competition of speed, the posture of entering the water was very important. It could allow the swimmer to win at the beginning and establish a sufficient advantage in the early stage. Unfortunately, only after a long period of training could the posture of entering the water become more scientific and reasonable. It could allow the swimmer to obtain the fastest speed and the best angle of entering the water. Although Qin Guang was good at swimming, he had never practiced how to enter the water. Naturally, this posture was a bit of a matter of course. Compared to Dong Tao and the other 2, Qin Guang's posture of entering the water was ugly. It was almost like a fly swatter hitting the surface of the water. With a splat sound, the onlookers felt their teeth ache. Sun Xiaoxuan couldn't help but scream. It looked really painful. Fortunately, Qin Guang didn't directly knock him out. The other 4 people's movements weren't as exaggerated as Qin Guang's. Although they weren't professionals since they had signed up for this competition, they had practiced hard for a period of time. On average, they had practiced for several hours every day. Although they didn't have professional guidance, they had studied the competition videos online for a few days. Although they weren't professionals, they had at least gotten the hang of it. With the other 7 people as a comparison, Qin Guang's unsightly posture of entering the water made the hearts of the onlookers, who had a little bit of hope in him, the Mr. Bodybuilder, instantly go cold. This bro is a spearhead made of silver. Looks good but no use? Don't say that. If it were someone with a weaker physique, he would definitely flip over like a dead fish when he hit the surface of the water. So resistance is also a skill? Isn't that obvious? But it doesn't seem like this bro's resistance is of any use. Swimming really has nothing to do with one's physique. How tragic. He's already so far behind in the water. The onlookers could see that Qin Guang was in an awkward situation. The head coach of the school's swimming team, who was watching from the side of the pool, understood even more. He almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. He represented the school's official attitude. If he laughed at a contestant in public, it wouldn't be good for the school's image. How awkward. Is this student here to be funny? I thought he had some skill when I saw him arguing with Dong Tao just now. Although the head coach of the swimming team had taught Dong Tao and the others a lesson, deep down he still didn't want to see the 3 of them lose to any amateur. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing for the swimming team. This guy said he was coming to swim. He was full of confidence. I thought he was really aiming for the championship. I didn't expect this guy to have such a good physique under the surface. When did he train behind my back? That scared the hell out of me. At the top corner of the swimming stadium stands, a pair of beautiful eyes were quietly staring at Qin Guang, who was in the first lane. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That really hurts. That's right. This person was Wenwen, whose competition was also tomorrow. The Missy had nothing to do today, and she wasn't the least bit interested in the competition of the others in class. Thinking that Qin Guang was finally going to have his swimsuit debut, she came over to watch the spectacle. At that moment, a slightly shrill shout suddenly came from the front row. Qin Guang. Come on. Wenwen looked in the direction of the voice, and her eyes couldn't help but become quite playful. The first person to shout for Qin Guang was Sun Xiaoxuan. At this moment, this somewhat bashful Jiangnan Water Village girl brought out a great deal of courage and somewhat recklessly yelled out. As soon as the shout came out, many people who were staring at the swimming pool also looked at her. Sun Xiaoxuan's face immediately reddened under everyone's gazes, and her voice came to a screeching halt. But after a brief moment of silence, she puffed up her cheeks and raised her hands in front of her mouth like a trumpet. She shouted again, louder and more impassioned than before. With Sun Xiaoxuan taking the lead, several of her girlfriends next to her also shouted together. These young and beautiful girls took the lead to cheer for the contestants. Sun Xiaoxuan, a very beautiful girl, was also among them. Suddenly they became a beautiful scene in the swimming stadium. Perhaps out of sympathy for the weak, in the huge swimming stadium, Qin Guang's name came out one after another from various places. Surprisingly, most of the voices were of girls, which was not surprising. Who asked Qin Guang to rely on his good figure to attract attention before the competition, and his posture in the water instantly showed the aura of a weak person. Wenwen's eyes became a little sharp in an instant. She thought to herself, this is the beautiful class monitor Sun Xiaoxuan that Bai Nyangzi and the others yelled at on the phone the other day, right? Interesting. But you definitely don't know that Qin Guang never goes swimming, right? Cheering is useless. Qin Guang, who was already lagging behind because of his terrible diving into the water, heard Sun Xiaoxuan's cheers, and his whole body quivered. I'm already very embarrassed in my underwear, and you guys are shouting the old man's name in the whole stadium. The old man really can't get his blood boiling. I really want to dive into the water and never get up again. Qin Guang felt very embarrassed. Just when he was delayed, the other 4 contestants who took off slower than him had surpassed him one after another, and Dong Tao and the other 2 had already swum several meters away, leaving him completely behind. So miserable, he was left behind by 2 body lengths at the beginning. This handsome guy's heart is going to break, right? Many compassionate girls' eyes were almost filled with tears. That's right, Qin Guang's heart was broken, so he clenched his teeth and made up his mind. F***ck, since I've already lost face to this extent, I don't care about anything else, just swim. Pan Jiang, just you wait, I'm going to give you a big surprise right now. Chapter 41. Taking a deep breath, Qin Guang finally began to exert his strength. As his right palm slapped hard on the surface of the water, he suddenly sprang forward a long distance. The onlookers didn't see anything strange from this, and they still sympathized with Qin Guang, the tragic bodybuilder. However, Sun Xiaoxuan and the others were stimulated by Qin Guang's action, and their cheers became louder and louder. The four people's cheers made the other girls who had been cheering for a while keep up with the rhythm. Humans were always herd creatures. When someone took the lead to do something and it didn't cause conflict, there would be no lack of followers. Therefore, only the four words "Come on, Qin Guang" kept ringing in the empty swimming pool, and gradually more and more people joined the ranks. Pan Jiang was so angry that his teeth itched, and his face was so dark that a layer of ash could be scraped off from the bottom of a pot. He had worked hard to arrange Dong Tao and the others to be in the same group as Qin Guang, but now he had helped Qin Guang to gain popularity? What's the use of having more people cheering for you? Do you think you can turn the world upside down? Pan Jiang curled his lips in disdain, and looked at the swimming lane again with dissatisfaction. What? Something's wrong. He's really going to turn the world upside down. Nobody knew when, but the cheers gradually stopped, because people suddenly realized that the bodybuilder, Qin Guang, didn't seem to need cheering at all. He was just fooling around with everyone. As Qin Guang really began to accelerate, his momentum immediately changed. He sprang forward like a torpedo, and before the first turn of the 50-meter swimming pool was completed, he had already surpassed the other four players. At this time, Dong Tao and the others were about 1.5 body lengths ahead of him, but before he began to exert his strength, the gap had already widened to 2 body lengths. The head coach beside the swimming pool was a person who really knew the ropes. The explosive power that Qin Guang showed in the last half of the first turn of the 50-meter swimming pool had already made his eyes shine. This young man has real skills. This short-distance sprinting ability was really not just for show. It didn't matter even if he lost to Dong Tao in the 400 m. He could still do well in the 100 m race. Not bad, a good seedling. After all, there were still the majority of the audience present. No one could see so many clues from Qin Guang's outburst just now. They still felt that Qin Guang's disadvantage was still very obvious. Even the head coach himself, who already thought that Qin Guang was very talented, still did not think that he could defeat Dong Tao. After all, this was a 400-meter race. It required more than just explosive power. After a short burst of power, it was very likely that one would quickly lose strength. The head coach believed that in the next 350 meters, the gap between this young man named Qin Guang and Dong Tao and the other two, who had undergone professional training, would gradually widen. Even if he could rely on risking his life to catch up to Dong Tao in the next round, he wouldn't be able to last forever. However, the most surprised person was not them but Wenwen, who was standing high up in the stands. About a year ago, she had forcibly dragged Qin Guang, a non-swimmer, to the city's swimming pool. At that time, she had worked herself to the bone to train Qin Guang for most of the day. Qin Guang had only barely mastered the most basic doggy paddle, and could only last a few meters at most. In the process of teaching him how to swim, this guy had taken advantage of her in a flurry. After that, he had been very conflicted. He wanted to continue taking advantage of her and come to the pool again, but he was also terrified of being drunk. In the end, he still lost to his fear of water. From then on, he never talked about swimming again. After all, he had gained a few kilograms in just one afternoon. That's right, it was purely for drinking. But today? Not only did this guy participate in the race, he was like a fish returning to the sea after entering the water. Wenwen, who had the most unique insight, had already noticed that Qin Guang was different from other swimmers. Even a top semi-professional like Dong Tao felt like he was fighting with water in the water, let alone other people. But what about Qin Guang? From the first time he slapped the water, he gave Wenwen a feeling that he seemed to be enjoying the feeling of swimming in the water. As his powerful arms slapped down, the water seemed to listen to his command. His two calves vibrated at a high frequency, almost turning into a small electric motor. Wenwen couldn't help but ask herself in her heart. Was this still the same Qin Guang who was afraid of water like a tiger, the cowardly pervert who couldn't even bear to take advantage of the prettiest girl in school? This was simply a torpedo. As for the current Qin Guang, Wenwen thought about it and finally found a more appropriate term to describe him. On the other side, Qin Guang turned around, bent his legs and fiercely kicked the wall of the pool, fiercely leaping forward. When he resurfaced, he was only one body's length away from the last member of Dong Tao's team of 3. Oh my god. So fast. So strong. The head coach felt like he was about to stop breathing, but he was secretly worried about Qin Guang. Little bro, the 400 meters has just begun. Don't waste your energy so extravagantly. As long as you use your energy reasonably, maybe you really have a chance to fight for the top 3. The others didn't understand so much. They only saw that Qin Guang was constantly closing the gap between him and the first group. The originally quiet crowd gradually became excited again. 2 meters. 1, 5 meters. 1 meter. Qin Guang was getting closer and closer to the last member of the first group. The swimming complex once again began to ring Qin Guang's name. This time it was not because they sympathized with the weak, but because they were really cheering for him. He was not a member of the school team. He was just an ordinary university student like everyone else. This kind of counterattack from the weak was the easiest to make people's blood boil. As for the more emotional girls, there was no need to say more. Sun Xiaoxuan smiled. She felt that the current Qin Guang was simply too cool. Even if he lost in the end, she would definitely be moved by his short struggle. Qin Guang didn't care so much. The last time he saved someone, his heart was in a panic, and his mind was only thinking about saving people. Plus, he was wearing briefs so he didn't feel comfortable swimming. Today, however, he was in a clear swimming pool, and he was wearing high-quality swimming trunks. He didn't have to worry about being exposed, so he didn't have any distracting thoughts in his mind. He just wanted to pursue a faster speed. He felt like he was back in the transient sea, and he recalled the carefree feeling of wandering on the sea like a fish in water. That's right, for faster, faster. This water is so beautiful, so intimate, as if it wants to send me straight to the sky. I seem to have returned to that wonderful moment when I swam the fastest in my life. Actually, it wasn't wonderful. If I remember correctly, at that time, the N Royal was fighting with the enemy ship, and I fell into the water with 7 or 8 enemies. Then, we were chased by the sea beasts from the bottom of the sea after smelling the blood. Of course, Qin Guang survived in the end. He didn't swim past the sea beasts, but he swam a little faster than the other 7 or 8 enemies. The sea beasts with average teeth just happened to be full and didn't want to eat him anymore. In short, I can't compete with sea beasts, but I'm really not afraid of competing with people. Chapter 42. Finally, when they were about to reach the starting point, which was a total of 100 meters, Qin Guang caught up with the last person in Dong Tao's team of 3. This person did not even consider that he might be caught up. While he was taking a breath, he saw Qin Guang pass by him from the corner of his eye and dash forward. He shook his head, thinking that he was hallucinating. After taking a closer look, he finally believed the terrifying truth. He was really caught up. *CK. Are you kidding me? How is this possible? I'm a professional. Unfortunately for swimmers, the pool was both gentle and cruel. Just because you don't believe in tears, it won't make you faster. He could only watch as Qin Guang caught up with him bit by bit. Gradually, the two of them were parallel to each other. Then he was pulled away by an arm's length. It's over. I'm half a body's length behind. Oh my god. At that moment, the 400-meter freestyle race had already passed 100 meters. Qin Guang was still maintaining his high speed. From the start of his sprint until now, his speed had not decreased at all. When he overtook the third person, his target took another step forward, heading towards the second place. Dong Tao was still slightly ahead. Putting his character aside, he was able to obtain the athlete certification as a semi-professional swimmer, which meant that he was definitely not an ordinary person. The certification required him to be able to swim the 400-meter freestyle race in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. There was no room for falsehood. At that moment, Dong Tao was still ahead of the others. He was about 2 body lengths ahead of the second person, and 3 body lengths ahead of Qin Guang. Dong Tao didn't care about what was happening behind him, because he knew that in this kind of competition, he didn't need to care about others at all. He just needed to do his usual training, swim at his own pace and swim steadily to the 300m. Then, in the last 2 turns of the 100m, he could easily stabilize his time at around 4 minutes 20 seconds. Although this standard might not be considered much in an international or national competition, it was more than enough to dominate an intramural sports meet. Even the other 2 teammates on the school team could only swim for 4 minutes and 20 seconds if they used all their strength. Swimming was a competition of strength. There were no random factors that could affect the outcome of the competition. Up until now, the entire race had been under Dong Tao's control. He had not even used his full strength, and he was already 2 body lengths ahead of his teammate. Qingguang, that kid must be even further behind. If he said he would set him up for 2 laps, then he would do it. Those who had not undergone systematic training would not be able to swim more than 200 meters, let alone 400 meters. They would be like a dead fish drifting. What Dong Tao didn't know was that his second teammate wasn't feeling well at that moment. He was on the 3rd path while Qingguang was on the 1st. As soon as Qingguang caught up, he sensed that something was wrong. The fact that the 3 of them were placed in the same group in the preliminary round was enough to cause a sensation. If they were overtaken by an amateur, then wouldn't they become the laughingstock of the entire school? How would they be able to raise their heads in the future? No, I'm going to sprint. It wasn't just him. The 3rd place that had been overtaken by Qingguang no longer remembered his usual training rhythm. He clenched his teeth and began to exert his strength with all his might. I'll let you be proud for a while longer. We've gone through professional training, and we swim tens of thousands of meters every day. I don't believe it. No matter how strong your explosive strength is, there's no reason you can still persist in the second half of the race. The head coach by the pool was also having a headache from the actions of these people. He had come here to see the true standard of these people. If they were like this in the first half of the race, they would definitely be exhausted in the second half of the race, and their results would definitely be worse than their usual results. Even though the kid named Qingguang was swimming very fast now, and he was also speeding up with the other 2, once he finished the turn the other 2 would naturally slow down as well. What do you 2 think are going on in your heads? Qingguang hasn't gone through any training, so he doesn't know how to allocate his strength. You 2 have been professionally trained under me for 2 years, yet you're still acting like this. Aren't you embarrassing me? The audience at the side of the pool didn't know what the head coach was thinking. They only saw that Qingguang had not only overtaken the 3rd place swimmer, but had also started to catch up with the 2nd place swimmer. What's more, as the 3 of them accelerated at the same time, the distance between them and Dong Tao, who was still conserving his strength, gradually shortened. Unlike the others, Dong Tao was a celebrity among the school's swimming enthusiasts. He was a certified athlete, and if nothing went wrong he would even enter the provincial team this year and become a well-known swimmer who would represent the provincial team in the national games. The waves from the pool were getting higher and higher, and gradually the emotions of the audience were stirred up. Cheers rose and fell crazily from the swimming pool, and gradually condensed into one, resounding throughout the entire swimming pool. As Dong Tao calmly swung his arms, paddled, and swung his legs, he vaguely heard the voices from the outside world. He thought disdainfully, these people are really ignorant. I haven't even exerted my strength yet, why are you so excited? Can people swim faster just by adding more strength? Can Qingguang counterattack? Are you kidding me? Wait a little longer, I'm almost 200 meters now. Wait for another 100 meters, then I'll accelerate again, and show you the strength of the national top swimmer. Not far ahead was the pool wall. Dong Tao skillfully swung his hands at the same time and dove down. Just like the countless times he had turned around by stepping on the wall, he looked left and right leisurely in the water. As usual, the other lanes were empty, and no one could turn around at the same time as him. Alas, being invincible is always lonely. Dong Tao felt a little proud. He had dominated the swimming world of Gokyo University for 3 whole years, and only when he went to the provincial team for training could he feel some pressure from the professional swimmers there. Just as he was feeling proud of himself, a pair of hands suddenly appeared in the lane next to him, and then the whole body of the person was reflected in Dong Tao's eyes. Dong Tao's pupils shrank. Did I see it wrong? What is this? Could it be that I've already circled him twice? Now that I think about it, it's already 200 meters and I've already looped him for a full 100 meters? Although it's a little unscientific, it's not completely impossible. I really didn't expect that kid to be so weak. Sometimes, being overconfident is really a sad thing to hear. That's right. Qingguang had actually caught up to Dong Tao. When Dong Tao completed this turn, Qingguang had already put both his legs on the pool wall, exerted his strength and shot out, closely catching up to Dong Tao's pace. After Qingguang, Dong Tao's 2 teammates, who were slightly weaker than him, followed closely behind. One in front, one behind, they kept up with Qingguang. Dong Tao was now only half a body's length ahead of Qingguang. Only then did he notice the situation of his other 2 teammates, and his heart trembled. Something is wrong. What? The 2 of them also turned around at this time? Don't tell me. Qingguang has caught up. Dong Tao was stunned at first, and even his slapping motion was half a beat slower. Chapter 43. Dong Tao. What are you doing? Why are you in a daze? He is catching up with you. If you lose today, from tomorrow on, your daily training schedule will be increased to 30,000 meters. The head coach was watching from the side of the pool, feeling a little anxious. Dong Tao was good at everything and he was talented, but his attitude in competitions disappointed him. He was never serious enough. If he really lost today, he would lose all his dignity as the head coach of the swimming team. Hearing the head coach's loud reprimand, Dong Tao shuddered. Although he found it hard to believe, he knew that things were not going well. He pulled himself together and gave it his all. As Dong Tao began to speed up, the competition in the pool suddenly became white-hot. Damn it! How can I be surpassed by him? This is unacceptable. Asshole. Thousands of thoughts flashed through Dong Tao's mind, but he also knew that he had no other choice. He had to quickly gather his thoughts and get rid of those meaningless thoughts. He had to stop thinking about using his trained physical strength to widen the gap between him and Qin Guang. He had to speed up now. He didn't want to be caught up by Qin Guang. He didn't want to be neck and neck with Qin Guang. He couldn't accept it even for 1 second. The first group of Qin Guang, Dong Tao, and the other two were getting further and further away from the second group. But what made Dong Tao and the other two desperate was that no matter how hard they tried, they still couldn't get rid of Qin Guang. Not only that, when they were about to swim 300 meters, Qin Guang finally caught up with Dong Tao for the first time. The pupils of the head coach shrank and he was shocked. He thought to himself, I didn't expect him to maintain such a high speed until now, and even catch up with Dong Tao. But for a non-professional athlete, this must be his limit, right? Even Dong Tao and the other two were starting to show signs of fatigue. When Qin Guang turned around and entered the final stretch of the 300 meters, he would definitely slow down because of his physical exhaustion. Qin Guang, you are really talented. Even if you lose today, you will only lose because you haven't received professional training. It's a glorious defeat. The head coach was not the only one who thought this way. Dong Tao and the other two had the same idea. Although their physical condition had declined due to the early outburst, they were, after all, semi-professional athletes who had been through years of training. They could still slightly accelerate in the last 100 meters and show their true sprinting state. It was time to widen the gap between them. Although it was a pity that he couldn't trick him, the feeling of giving him hope and then making him despair was actually not bad. With this in mind, Dong Tao increased his strength in slapping the water, and sure enough, his speed became faster. He turned his head to the right and saw that his other two teammates had already begun to sprint. Despair. Dong Tao laughed maniacally in his heart. At this moment, a wave suddenly came from the neighboring lane and hit his temple. What? Dong Tao was at a loss at first, but then he realized what it meant. Qin Guang had surpassed him? When he took a breath, he raised his head a little bit more to see the situation in the neighboring lane clearly. Unfortunately, all he could see was a pair of Qin Guang's feet. When he took another breath, Dong Tao looked to the side again. This time, even Qin Guang's feet were in front of him. What is this? My God. My God. Qin Guang has surpassed Dong Tao. He overtook him in the second half of the race. Aren't Dong Tao and the others professionals? How could Qin Guang have surpassed them? I don't understand. What's so strange about it? Dong Tao and the others are in the school swimming team, but they are just for show. God knows how he got his sports master certificate. Don't tell me he got it with money? What a shame. But it's understandable that this kind of thing happened in our country. Can't you two just shut up? Don't you know how to look at the timer? It's only been 3 minutes. If Dong Tao maintains this speed, he will definitely take around 4 minutes to finish the race. This is the standard of a 400-meter freestyle athlete. The spectators couldn't stand the discussion between the two amateurs and reprimanded them. But now Qin Guang is in the lead. If Dong Tao is a sports master, then what is Qin Guang's level? How long do you think Qin Guang can swim? The knowledgeable student was stunned. F***CK. F***CK. What's wrong? What's wrong? The two of them were shocked. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have thought of it. Where did Qin Guang come from? There's no reason. This doesn't make sense. What's wrong? Tell us, bro. Can you not leave us hanging? Let me tell you. This Qin Guang, if he can swim in 3 minutes and 52 seconds, he will be a national athlete, the top kind. He might even have the chance to represent our country in an international competition. Are you serious? Isn't that too scary? The timer board clearly shows the time. How can it be fake? The man also had a shocked expression on his face. No one could understand the despair in Dong Tao's heart. He had used all his strength and he felt that he had never given it his all. But the figure in the lane beside him was still moving further and further away. He was the athlete of the school team who trained hard in the pool every day. Chen Guang was just an unremarkable kid from the environmental science department of the same school. But why was this the result? I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Dong Tao roared and snarled, the veins on his arms bulging. Chapter 44. The head coach of the school team looked at the scene and felt weak all over. He thought to himself, is Chen Guang a monster? He has already sprinted for 200 meters. He should be exhausted by now, right? But why is he able to go even faster in the last 100 meters? The experienced head coach was dumbfounded, and the audience was even more dumbfounded. Sun Xiaoxuan gripped the railing tightly with both hands. Her knuckles turned white because of the excessive force. She was so excited that her face was flushed and her breathing almost stopped. It was as if she was the one competing. On the other hand, Pan Zhang's face was ashen. He had paid such a huge price just to get Chen Guang out of the preliminaries. He had bribed his way up and down to get 3 members of the school team to be in the same group as him. Initially he thought that it was a done deal. But now Chen Guang actually pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. He even defeated Dong Tao. This guy hid his strength well. This fellow, you're really something. He's become a monster. Wenwen, who was far away at the top of the stands, also leaned against the wall. She didn't expect that she, who had seen so much, would be so excited watching a swimming competition. Although the person competing was Chen Guang and she was worried about him, she originally just wanted to see Chen Guang embarrass himself. She didn't expect the final result to be like this. Little one, I've already told you that Chen Guang isn't simple. He's not what he looks like on the surface. You have to be careful of him. Nobody knew when second uncle Wen appeared behind Wenwen. Second uncle, I know him better than you. I know he has been a little strange these days, but he is still the same person. Don't interfere with my business. At least, I am still free before I graduate from university. Wenwen said without turning her head. Okay. Anyway, you have to remember your identity. You should keep your distance from Chen Guang. Second uncle, don't talk about this. Alright, is there any news about the thing I asked you to investigate for me? I feel that there is something behind the food poisoning at Chen Guang's hot pot restaurant. Second uncle Wen was silent for a while before he said, I sent people to investigate for a long time and found something strange. Wenwen frowned. What's strange? After the poisoning, the police and the hospital kept a lot of serum and body tissues of the victims. But when our people arrived, they found that all the preserved evidence had disappeared into thin air. In addition, our people visited dozens of families of the victims and found that most of the victims have recovered. None of them were left with permanent injuries. I even asked someone to pay for some of the victims to go to the hospital for another checkup. I even took some blood samples from them. The results of the test. What about the test results? Wenwen frowned. Second uncle, don't keep me guessing. You know I care a lot about this. Second uncle swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, all the test results show that these people are no different from normal people. There's no sign of them being poisoned at all. But at that time, weren't the symptoms of poisoning extremely serious? Many of them were even diagnosed to be permanently disabled? Is there something wrong with those medical reports? Wenwen asked again. That's why I said something was strange. However, I can't find any more information. It seems that all traces have been erased, second uncle Wen said with a bitter smile. Alright, I understand. Thank you, second uncle. Wenwen didn't say anything else and fell silent. Second uncle sighed slightly. You're on your own now. I'm tired of hiding you. After saying that, the second uncle leaped off the edge of the swimming pool and disappeared into the forest. Wenwen frowned and muttered to herself, what's going on? Who could have done it? Why did he do that? Why do you want to erase all traces? Second uncle didn't seem to have said everything. Was he afraid that I would know something? The way he handled things and the traces were a little familiar. Could it be? But Chen Guang had nothing to do with those people. There was no reason for him to be involved in those people's fight, right? Damn it. It had been so long and all the evidence had been erased. Even if she wanted to investigate, there was nothing she could find. Alas, if it wasn't for the fear of her father finding out that she had a close relationship with an ordinary boy at school, Wenwen really wanted to secretly pay those families who were still waiting for compensation from Chen Guang's father. However, she knew that she couldn't do that. Now that second uncle was covering for her, her family didn't know what she had done at Gokyo University. If she used money, sooner or later the truth would be revealed. When that time came, she was afraid that Chen Guang would be killed. The human heart was really scary. Those so-called victims were obviously all alive and kicking, but none of the families were willing to stand up and tell Qin Guang and his father that they had recovered and didn't need compensation. They had the court's verdict in their hands, and it was reasonable and well-founded. They couldn't bear to part with the fat meat that was already in their mouths, even if the so-called fat meat was blood drawn from a family that was already emaciated. Qin Guang and his parents were really in trouble. Wen quietly turned around and left. There was no need to continue watching this swimming competition. When she got back, she had to interrogate this guy properly. Where did he go to learn such frightening swimming skills? He even dared to hide it from her. He really didn't want to stay in this world anymore. On the other side, Qin Guang had already touched the sensor at the finish line. He leisurely turned around and saw that Pan Jiang was late. On the scoreboard, Qin Guang's time was fixed at 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Dong Tao fiercely slapped the sensor, wishing that he could vent his hatred on it. Today he had actually broken his long-standing record of 3 minutes and 59 seconds. This was the first time he had swum under 4 minutes. However, there were gains and losses. As soon as he retracted his right hand, he felt an intense tearing pain from his shoulder and right calf, causing him to grit his teeth in pain. His heart skipped a beat. Oh no, I pulled my muscle too hard. The other 6 arrived one after another, but they were even more behind. The soy sauce quartet had even pulled away by almost 100 meters. Who knew if it would leave an indelible shadow in their hearts when they went back? It was just a preliminary competition, but he had swum a national record. The spectators on the side of the stands were also cheering. Many of them even excitedly shouted Qin Guang's name. Student Qin Guang, I'm the head coach of the school's swimming team, Qin Yuanhua. I think you have a lot of potential. Come to the swimming team. I really think highly of you. The head coach of the school's swimming team, Qin Yuanhua, didn't pay any attention to Dong Tao, who was grimacing in pain. Instead, he squatted in front of Qin Guang's lane and said to Qin Guang, who was about to climb up. Qin Guang's eyes lit up. This was also a way to make a fortune. If he could become a professional athlete, participate in the Olympics, win a gold medal and become a world champion, he could become a celebrity like Sun Yang and Lu Xiang. Endorsement contracts would come one after another. In the future, if he was interested, he could even develop in the entertainment industry. He could easily make over 100 million a year, marry a fair, rich and beautiful woman, and reach the pinnacle of his life. Great. Coach Qin, with my speed I can already win a world championship? Qin Guang asked excitedly. Chapter 45. You really dared to say that. Coach Qin's mouth twitched. Ugh. I'm afraid, not yet. But don't worry. After 2 to 3 years of training, you will definitely become a top swimmer in the country. You are already very fast. Also, your fundamentals are perfect. All you lack is the final push. As long as you can persevere, there will be a spot for you in the Olympic Games in 3 years. Qin Yuanhua chuckled, thinking that he had discovered a good seedling. 3 years? Don't we have the Olympic Games this year? Qin Guang was unhappy. This year. Although I have high hopes for you, it will be difficult for you to swim within 3 minutes and 50 seconds. You should know that the hardest part is the last step. Don't rush. You can't walk 1,000 miles without taking 1 step at a time. Qin Yuanhua said honestly. Qin Guang nodded his head. He had a deep impression of this. When he took the second test in the cup realm, he only took a month to reach the same standard as Wen. In other words, he was an outstanding professional gamer. But to become the so-called strongest Dota 2 player in history, to make up for his last shortcoming, he practically had to bear blood and tears as he squatted in that unlucky puddle for another 2 months. Coach Qin, I understand what you are saying. I understand it very well. Thinking of his miserable past, Qin Guang choked. What? Crying already? Coach Qin was confused. Qin Guang shook his head. Thank you for your kind intentions. Swimming is just a hobby. I can't become a champion, I can't endure it. Thank you. With that, Qin Guang turned around and left without any hesitation. He knew his own situation. He could swim fast because he swam in the sea of seconds at his peak for 20 years. No matter how much he trained, he would reach this level. His swimming skills had already reached the pinnacle and he was like family to the water. Today's standard was already at its peak. It was simply a fool's dream to think that he could improve further. His height and arm length were obvious to him. Compared to those swimming geniuses, he was naturally at a disadvantage. To put it bluntly, he was able to kill Dong Tao today because Dong Tao wasn't a true expert. Apart from that, even if he trained hard and managed to swim in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, he was still 8 seconds away from winning the championship. Swimming was different from other sports. The stronger you were, the faster you would be able to swim. There was a lot more to it than meets the eye. There could only be one champion for an athlete. Who would remember who the runner-up was? Who would know how much sweat and tears those poor runners-up and third-place finishers standing behind the champions had wasted? Qin Guang knew his own potential. He didn't want to waste a few years of hard work, only to end up being a supporting character for others. Hey, Qin Guang. Don't go. Don't go. Coach Qin refused to give up. Qin Guang wiped his body with a towel and put on his sportswear. He turned around and shrugged his shoulders. Coach Qin, look at my body again. My arm span isn't even as good as that weakling Dong Tao. You only saw that I swam well today, but this is really my limit. Thank you for your kindness, Coach Qin. You should go and check on Dong Tao. He looks badly injured. How pitiful. Qin Guang said in a slightly joking tone. Dong Tao was still gritting his teeth and looking at him with hatred. What? Haven't lost enough? You want to fight with your fists? Qin Guang wasn't afraid of trouble. He put on his clothes and walked over to Dong Tao. How dare you stare at me? I'll dig out your eyeballs. At that moment, the poor guy was still limping with the help of his 2 teammates. His 2 teammates looked at Qin Guang with fear in their eyes. No matter how weak you were, you would always subconsciously feel inferior in front of the strong. Not to mention that Qin Guang had completely defeated them today. Dong Tao turned his face to the side helplessly. He didn't want to talk to Qin Guang anymore. At that moment, there was nothing more sorrowful than a dead heart. At the same time, he hated Pan Jiang in his heart. If it wasn't for that guy, he wouldn't have been assigned to Qin Guang's group in the preliminaries. He wouldn't have lost so much face today. Now that he was seriously injured, his training would be affected. Moreover, Coach Qin's attitude just now made him feel especially sad. For the sake of Pan Jiang's 6,000 yuan, he had suffered a great loss. TSK, if you don't have the guts, then keep your tail between your legs. If you don't like it, ask around in the school. I, Qin Guang, have never been afraid of anything. If you're not happy, we're all in dorm 7. You can come and find trouble with me at any time. I'll take it. After saying that, Qin Guang turned his head and left. He did this on purpose to let Coach Qin see clearly that he was a man and that he was a thorn in his side. Don't pester me and pull me into your profession. I'm really not cut out for that, and I don't have the mood to waste time with you. On the other side, Pan Jiang's mood wasn't much better than Dong Tao's. Pan Jiang, if you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. Qin Guang is right there. Do you want to go apologize and make up with Qin Guang now, or do you want to wait for another day when all 4 of them are together? Sun Xiaoxuan was extremely pleased. When she found out that Dong Tao and the other 2 were assigned to the same group as Qin Guang, she felt that something was wrong. Now that Qin Guang had actually won, of course she was happy. However, at the same time, she found Pan Jiang's appearance to be even more unpleasant to the eye. She felt that this person was so terrible that he actually played dirty to trick Qin Guang. He almost succeeded, so her words were unconsciously filled with disdain and arrogance. Looking at Sun Xiaoxuan's fake smile, Pan Jiang felt as uncomfortable as if he had swallowed a fly. However, he knew that if he turned hostile at this time, the food and wine that had been added to the table in Qingye would be in vain. No matter how angry he was, he had to swallow it first. Pan Jiang squeezed out an ugly smile and said, "Fine. I'll go apologize to him right now." "Brother Pan Jiang? You're really going?" Pan Jiang's lackeys behind him were shocked. Pan Jiang turned around and glared at them. "All of you go back. I'll go alone to apologize. Don't even think about seeing me embarrassed. I want to sincerely apologize to Qin Guang." He turned around again, acting more and more sincere. "Class rep Sun, come with me. I'll apologize to him in front of you. How about it? Is it sincere enough?" Sun Xiaoxuan smiled. She felt that although Pan Jiang was a terrible person, he could still be saved. Although Qin Guang had shocked the audience in the preliminaries today, there were still preliminaries to go. After changing his clothes, Qin Guang didn't receive any treatment like a celebrity. Instead, he easily walked to the entrance of the natatorium and exchanged phone numbers with a few girls. He was overjoyed. As he walked, he buried his head in his phone and typed the girls' names one by one. In his mind, he secretly recalled who was the prettiest. Should I contact her first tomorrow? Qin Guang? Over here. As soon as he walked out of the entrance, Sun Xiaoxuan shouted and waved at him from afar. Feeling guilty, Qin Guang quickly hid his phone in his trouser pocket and walked over. Class rep personally came to the scene and cheered for me. This little one is really proud. Thank you, beautiful classmates. Why did I hide my phone? I have nothing to do with her. Is there something wrong with my heart? Chen Guang secretly ridiculed himself. At this time he noticed a sneaky and bashful figure sitting on the flower bed behind the girls. Yo, isn't this our basketball star, Pan Jiang? Why are you interested in watching a small fry like me compete in the preliminaries? Are you here to watch a good show? It's a good show, right? Chen Guang originally suspected that Pan Jiang was up to no good. Now that he had exposed Dong Tao, it was like slapping his face. Now Pan Jiang even came to him to stab him. What a considerate little cotton-padded jacket. Pan Jiang's head was burning. He almost wanted to jump up and strangle Chen Guang. But when he looked at Chen Guang's smiling face, his mind began to roar. Endure it. I must King hold it in. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.